Our story begins with the city where one baby lived who had just opened his eyes. Rubbing his hands, he looked forward, lifting them, then realized that something had happened. At that moment, the old woman, seeing the child, thought that for the child to be in such a place, it was very interesting for her, and she did not understand what had happened. The whole point was that the child was in an interesting place. In her opinion, it was because he was lying alone, completely alone on the street in his cradle. When she sat down next to him, she realized that he really seemed to be all alone, and, picking him up, decided that she needed to go inside with him. The child clung to her and immediately fell asleep. Our hero, opening his eyes again, tried to figure out where he was. He was just standing in an empty place and was shocked by the lack of understanding of what was happening to him. Then he heard a voice, and turning around, the young man saw a boy. The boy greeted our hero and only smiled politely at him. Of course, our hero had a lot of questions about who was in front of him, because he did not understand and meant what was happening here at all. The boy was only interested in our hero, completely oblivious to his question whether he was okay. After all, this is a place that connects this world with others, as he immediately said, who confirmed that everything was fine with our hero. Hearing that it was another world, of course, the guy was very surprised. He realized that this most likely meant that he was already dead. The boy, without hesitation, explained that the young man guessed correctly and said that he had lived a wonderful life and died at the age of 101. When our hero heard that he died at the age of 101, he did not understand this at all. How did he die and he didn't remember anything at all? It was completely inexplicable to him. I started to worry about what was going on. Of course, the boy noticed that the young man looked confused and only laughed. However, he asked to be allowed to introduce himself. And then he told me that he was the one whom the young man called God. He wanted the young man to go to a completely different world. Of course, when our hero heard about another world, he was very surprised. And then the boy added that our hero lived a very peaceful life, so he had to think about it as a bonus stage. When our hero heard about the bonus stage, he just thought about it to himself and grinned. Then, turning back to the boy, he tried to figure out what he needed to do in this other world, and wanted to hear an answer from him. The young man thought about it and said that our hero could do whatever he wanted, or he could live normally if he also wanted to. Our hero was very surprised by his words, and the boy hoped that this was probably normal. The boy suggested to our hero to make sure that he thoroughly enjoys his second life, and told him that this world is different from the one he knew. Monsters roam the world and they use alchemy instead of science. This is the world of the royal road. Achieving prestige and experience by one's own efforts was also in this world. The boy also said that he would give our hero a small bonus. Hearing about the bonus, of course, the young man became interested, and then the boy who called himself God told us that our hero would get a skill, namely the language of another world. After all, it would be difficult to learn a new language from scratch, and our hero decided that this was definitely supposed to help him in his new life. God also added that the young man would receive a loot box, presenting the chest in front of him, saying that it would be ordinary. However, not many people have this skill, so our hero had to be careful, as God warned him. Having heard all this carefully, our hero thanked him. Next, the boy presented him with the skill Assessment, and then our hero realized that it was probably a set of 3 sacred treasures from another world that he wanted to have. Then, of course, God was wondering if our hero wanted anything else. Our hero thought about it and said that he wanted to use monsters. God added that maybe he could give him a monster tamer. Then most of the monsters would be available to him. Upon hearing about this, our hero became interested. God added that people there memorize spells, constantly practice to use them. And that's because their mental image of magic is very poor. It's just like something out of the manga. He just needs to think about it. Then the young man decided that he would take magical manipulations and thanked God. Smiling, the young man realized that these were his skills now. The 5 skills he now had were otherworld language, loot boxes, assessment, tame repairs, magic manipulation. Now everything was possible with the help of taming monsters, and there are different ways to raise them from an early age and teach them a lot using a contract. After that, he will contact them, teach them using the method of submission. And of course, he could have done it after hearing that God had added these things. Moreover, God added that he would also give him concealment, It was funny. Since he has this skill, he had to hide it. Hearing about what he had to hide, of course, our hero was surprised. God, as if nothing had happened, invited the young man to prepare for rebirth. Something rustled around him, and our hero began to look around. Meanwhile, God asked to enjoy his life in another world, and laughing, our hero said that he would entertain him, and now they had to revive our hero in another world. There was a flash, and then everything went out. When the young man was reborn here, he started as a child. He was taken away then, and now he lives in the Syria's orphanage. It was the same elderly woman who picked up our hero and took him to this shelter. When the baby was brought into the house, all the children, of course, looked at him in surprise and, running into the room, were surprised at how cute the baby was. Our hero was already thinking that spring had really already come for him. Here he met the director and the woman who picked him up. There were also 10 children living here, whom our hero had already seen with his own eyes. And some of these people were beast people with animal ears and tails, while the rest of the animals were bipedal. It also seems that the beast people are half human, half beast, based on their parents' race. These very animals were looking at our child at that moment and talking about how cute he was. They all watched him admiringly, and our hero thought about the clothes of the people they wear, the food they eat. They were quite poor. However, they are always smiling and never hungry. The headmistress here is really good. And on top of that, our hero at that moment saw the girl talking about how she cooked some rice. The young man understood that there was nothing to be done here, because he was so young and could not move and speak like others. At that moment, he noticed that something began to shine next to his hand. He felt the magic power inside him, but there are people around all the time, so we can't check anything. Considering that a lot of people were scurrying around our hero while he was lying in the cradle, he had to wait until he was free. At that moment, it was announced that it was time for everyone to go to bed, and the children left the room. So our hero was left alone under the holy moon. When he got up from his bed, he realized that apparently everyone was already asleep and was very surprised by this. After looking at his hands, he began to use magic. He was thinking that he wouldn't be discovered if he only trained at night. At that moment, using magic, our hero found out that he was just doing very well, and he was doing very well. So a month later, another child with cat ears appeared, whom everyone looked at and admired for how cute he was. Plus, it was someone with cat ears. Then his popular season was over, our hero decided, which he was very unhappy with. At that moment, the girl was placed next to him. They explained that starting today she would sleep here. Our hero looked carefully and realized that he was an older brother a month after his birth. One day our hero decided to crawl, because almost a year has passed since he got to the shelter. Although he was not even able to crawl, he was wondering what was next. But the woman, picking it up, would have thrown it again, because he could have been injured. Our hero, being in her arms, sighed heavily, realizing that he was severely restricted in movement. At that moment, his younger sister was rolling all over the floor and screaming. Seeing this, of course, our hero thought that it was amazing that his younger sister was so energetic. The woman who was holding him in her arms at that moment also saw his sister rolling on the floor and asked her to stop. He was put to bed and his younger sister was put to bed as punishment. So they lay together until our hero, noticing something on her face, decided to fix it. He wanted to help by using his magic on his younger sister. The next moment, she began to snore sweetly while he watched her sleep. The first and most important thing is that his magic is getting stronger. Looking at his hands, our hero observed. But the headmaster and the children don't have the strength, so it seems he was the only one capable of magic. And so far our hero has decided that he should have hidden it. He used different magic, practicing every day. So, 2 years later, when he was training on the path again, he thought that when he turned 3, he could walk freely and practice magic, which became quite easier for him. His wind magic had become strong enough to be used in an attack. Using wind magic, our hero, practicing again, was able to knock down a bottle. And he also found out that the magic he used 2 years ago is called restoration magic. To be precise, it seems to lead to action on the cell, accelerates natural healing. The young man rejoiced at how his progress was progressing. So every day he made it flow through his body, talking about his magic. And his younger sister, who was under the influence of magic, looks more cheerful than other children at this moment. She just ran out of the bushes and the young man thought that she should have been stopped. Besides, our hero has learned a lot about this world. For example, this country is called the Kingdom of Aguru, and the shelter is located in the city of Frey, located in the west. Further to the west is the Dragon King Mountain, where the Dragon King lives, and in front of the mountain is the Dragon Forest. Frey is thriving thanks to the growing number of adventurers recovering here before hiking in the woods. However, the shelter does not receive much from the city, so children over the age of 10 go to work to bring the shelter as much money as possible for support and the rest. Of course, they had very little food, and our hero saw other children complaining, realized that it was not enough. And the woman who was watching and caring for them asked for forgiveness for what was happening. Of course, after seeing this picture, the young man decided that he needed to be helped somehow. Therefore, he needed to go to the Dragon Forest to get materials. As our hero found out, it was about an hour's walk from the shelter to the forest. To begin with, it was necessary to collect a tree for a fire, and he would need to cook his own food regularly, and this would not be cheap. As for the food itself, he hoped that there would be edible fruits, vegetables, or nuts in the forest. Medicinal herbs remain, and he would leave everything that seemed useful in his item box. He'll deal with it later. While everyone was eating, our hero was thinking over his plan for the future. To go to the Dragon Forest, collect firewood, collect food and medicinal herbs, hide everything from others so that nothing would be stolen or sold. At that moment, while he was thinking so carefully, his sister decided that since he would not eat fish, then she did not need to disappear and ate everything for him. After that, when our hero had already stopped thinking so carefully about all his plans, he saw that his fish was gone. At that moment, my sister, running out from the table, thought that it was a wonderful feast, and she was very happy. Of course, our hero was depressed that, because of his thoughts, he was left without food. The sun was shining the next morning. Birds were singing, and the young man, peeping around the corner, decided that he had to somehow get away without getting caught by anyone. At that moment, his sister caught up with him, not understanding what his brother was doing. Of course, the young man was scared by this, and he decided to pretend that he had not done anything of the kind. But the sister realized that he was lying, and tried to get an answer from our hero, realizing that the young man is probably playing hide-and-seek, peeping, or cooking. She wanted to do everything she had just listed. Our hero saw her sparkling eyes and decided to quickly lie that he was just going to the toilet. Realizing that our hero was somehow able to hang out and apologizing to the guys, he went ahead. He left the building and was able to make his way through the garden. Frey was very close to the forest here, so monsters were not often seen here. But there is a sturdy wooden fence that separates him from his goal. So our hero found a hidden passage near the shelter and decided to crawl through it. When the young man was released, he saw a bright light, and in front of him was a huge road and mountains. This landscape stirred Shu's mind so much that he just stared ahead in fascination, and then realized that he did not have a map, and therefore he would just have to go in the direction he saw. Well, he decided not to lose heart and hit the road. The hour has struck since the hero left the orphanage. He also reached the forest. Sighing heavily, he thought that he had finally arrived. Leaning against a tree, our hero suddenly noticed the claw marks of some monster on it. Although it's actually quite safe here, adventurers protect this place from monsters every day. Older people train here, as far as he knew, and it would be strange to see a child like him in a forest like this. So he decided that it would be better to find a place away from prying eyes. Getting up and throwing his things on his shoulders, our hero decided to go further into the forest. Also, to begin with, he decided to choose a tree for the starting point and mark it. After he drew the X sign on the tree, our hero decided that now it was possible to start exploring and went further into the forest. Then he saw some grass in front of him. Surprised, the young man realized that these were the medicinal herbs he had thought of. So for now, having collected them, I decided to leave them in this box. Then he saw a dead tree, which would be perfect for a bonfire, as expected from the dragon forest. Our hero found the very things he needed. So he made his way on, and it was a great harvest. An hour later, he was completely exhausted and sat down near the tree from which he had left earlier. Because so far there is enough grass and brushwood. Putting them side by side, our hero suddenly heard that something had distracted him, namely his rumbling in his stomach. After all, it was long past noon and I needed to eat something. Getting up again and moving on, our hero decided that it would be nice to find some fruits or nuts. For now, he could just move forward by applying magic detection and hoped that he would just get lucky. He walked around a bit before returning to the March tree and has already made a new mark and expanded his search radius. Then, looking forward, our hero saw a tree with fruits similar to apples. Realizing that it was a fruit that was pink in color, it looked very much like an apple. Our hero, looking at him in surprise, decided that it was necessary to climb a tree and pick up this apple. Tearing it off a branch and then biting it, Shu decided that it tasted quite good. Then, having taken advantage of the apple, the young man plucked a lot of other apples, trying to figure out how many there were on this tree, throwing it all into loot boxes. The apples were very beautiful and shone so sweetly. He decided that there were a lot of them here. But he didn't want to take everything. He shouldn't have depleted his diet. Therefore, with a sigh, our hero climbed down from the tree. Then, making his way further along the ground, he saw a potato, after which he found another fruit. Chewing it again, our hero thought about how delicious it was. And then, looking up at the sky, he realized that it was already so late, which meant it was dangerous to stay here any longer. And with all his might, he ran forward. Our hero had already reached there when the sun began to set, and decided that somehow he had managed. After catching his breath heavily, he suddenly realized that everyone was looking for him. Realizing that everyone was in the garden, looking for him, our hero decided that it was very bad. And the next moment, when he made his way into the shelter building, of course, they found him and began to tell him off. The woman who always took care of him said that it was already night outside and that she was very worried when addressing Shu. The grandmother who had found him earlier was crying and wiping her tears with her handkerchief. She explained that they were looking for him everywhere, but he was nowhere to be found. Our hero had to listen to all this quietly, realizing that at the moment he could not find an explanation for this so that it would satisfy everyone. At that moment, his sister came running. She hit our hero on the head and talked about how stupid he was, which made everyone worry. Of course, the young man said that he was very sorry, but everyone was interested in something else. Where did our hero go so far, and therefore they decided to ask about it. Of course, he decided not to lie and explained that he was in the dragon forest. After hearing that such a small child was a dragon forest, no one understood what he was doing in such a dangerous place, and our hero had to lie about being hungry. But of course, he even knew in his heart that it wasn't really because of that. Hearing these words, the grandmother silently hugged the child with tears in her eyes, and she was apologizing to him. Our hero understood that she blamed herself and only wanted to tell the director that she had no need to apologize. He wanted to give her something, and the next moment, our hero took out brushwood, various herbs and fruits that he was able to collect in this forest. Upon seeing this, everyone was, of course, very surprised, trying to figure out what it was, exclaiming about how delicious it was. Everyone was very happy. The director thanked our hero for what he had done, and thought that the young man was just an amazing older brother. Upon hearing these words, he broke into a smile. And then, when everyone enjoyed the apples and what our hero brought, Shu was not let go by his sister until the night. She clung to the young man and did not want to part with him anymore. Everyone, looking at this, was only a little surprised, and the director thought that it was very nice watching the sister express her love to her brother. The next day, our hero was forbidden to leave the shelter. To be more precise, he was simply put under supervision and is named younger sister, because she constantly stuck to our hero and did not let him go anywhere completely alone. The director, of course, asked the young man to sit with her for a day, so she said, and this was his punishment. But there is something he wanted to do, and therefore, even though his younger sister was with him, our hero needed to do it. He came to the garden, and at that moment, realizing that the young man had some fruits in his hands, his sister decided that he wanted to eat. Of course, our hero explained that this was not the case, and these potatoes were too small to eat, so he decided that they should have just planted them. The shelter has its own garden and the necessary equipment, but it grows only herbs, and therefore our hero decided to plant potatoes himself. Turning to his sister, he realized that, apparently, she wanted to help him. The girl with the sparkling eyes, of course, immediately agreed, and they got down to business. My sister started helping our hero. Everything was done just perfectly. At that moment, other children arrived, surprised by what our heroes were doing. They were very interested, and our heroes, telling their friends all together, finished what Shu had come up with. The sister, realizing that they had done something together, turned to her brother and told him that the next time he went somewhere else, she asked him to bring him even more food. Seeing her happy face, of course, our hero could not refuse her this. So Shu did not leave the shelter for several more days. And now he also looked after the children, who looked at the broken beds and realized that the plants would soon climb. Our hero also began to pour restoration magic into the plants little by little, and in such a way that he hoped they would become stronger, like him and his sister. A week after passing through the Dragon Forest, he turned to the director with a request, but the director, of course, immediately rejected it. No matter how much he asked, she decided that she would not let him go to the Dragon Forest, but the young man insisted on it, explaining that he had not seen any monsters there. Of course, the director still had no intention of letting him go. Our hero has stocks, such as fruits in a loot box, but he wanted to keep them until special occasions. And when the time came, of course, he packed up again, deciding to go to the Dragon Forest. The director saw that our hero was going to do it again, so he tried to stop him. She realized that the young man was going somewhere, and our hero understood that he was found immediately. When he presented himself to the director again, he knew that she would scold him. She only looked at Shu in silence. The young man was trying to figure out what he needed to do. With a heavy sigh, the director decided that since she was so drawn there, she would give him special permission to leave. Upon hearing this, our hero was immediately inspired, but she set a condition. The director explained that he was supposed not to go deep into the forest. If he sees a monster, he must immediately run without hesitation. And even if he didn't get anything, he had to be back before dark. And he had to be responsible and obey her. Our hero, of course, after listening to the director, obeyed her every word. And then the young man added that he had already been there, but after the director looked at him with an amazed face, our hero decided that he would really be careful and informed her about it. The director also decided to give him the knife. She asked me to take it for protection. Seeing a beautiful knife, our hero accepted it with pleasure. Explaining that he would follow the rules, he decided to go to the forest. But the next moment, when he just moved, he realized that his body was not moving. And then he noticed that his sister grabbed him, not understanding where he was going because his brother was not allowed. At that moment, the director, arriving in time, explained that his sister would let him go, because everything would be fine. But the little sister started crying and screaming, and our hero had to calm her down. After the young man finally calmed her down, he headed to the Dragon Forest. As he walked along the road, he decided that if he talked, he could listen to the search skill while picking fruits, and decided to see what was displayed on his sign. It was his name, race, age, gender, and skills that were displayed, but he did not have Arspower and MP as in normal games. Our hero also knew that he needed to use the concealment skill so that people could not see too much. But he has a gathering, as God said, that use skills are enhanced. Maybe the younger he was, the faster his skills might have grown, as our hero decided. However, he didn't want anyone to know about the skills like detection or concealment that God had given him. Looking at his sign, he saw his name, which was Shu, age 3, gender male, race, human. He had 1 level of employment, is being cared for by a shelter. Skills in physical strengthening, a sense of presence, concealment, presence, gathering and recovery, as well as 5 hidden skills received from God, otherworldly language, assessment, item box, magic manipulation, monster tamer. Our hero, after looking at this, only noticed that he was still level 1, and our hero added that he did not have any physical attacks, that he should have learned the skills of fencing or throwing. Imagining him wielding a sword, while he was busy, he had already reached the Dragon Forest. So our hero decided that to begin with, in order to get the throwing skill, he created stones of earth magic and began to throw them while standing near the lake. After that, our hero decided that there was a short break, and he had to go look for the last mark. Taking off his backpack and crouching down by a tree, he thought that it would be nice to find some fruit now. Then he realized that his mark should have been on the tree in front, and he saw it. After that, he found 2 types of fruits similar to sweet potatoes. Then our hero went a little further and found growing mushrooms. After examining them carefully, he decided that today's harvest was much better, so he put it together a little bit to ask the director what it could be used for, and he hopes that everyone will be happy with what he has managed to collect. The sun had not yet begun to set, and our hero, having learned his lesson, decided to return a few hours earlier than last time. Therefore, as soon as he climbed through the secret hole back into the garden, his sister immediately attacked him. She did it so unexpectedly that the young man even felt sick. The sister, seeing this, realized that, apparently, she had done something wrong. Apparently, the sister couldn't wait for Shu to return and went out to meet him. However, from such a meeting, if he had horsepower, they would have dropped to 0, so he lay for 10 minutes to recover. After that, our hero informed everyone that he had returned, and everyone was very happy. The director immediately met him too and began to examine the young man in the hope that he was not in pain and was fine. The guys immediately began to ask if he had typed anything because they were very interested to see what our hero had found this time. I told them that he had scored, and a lot, so they could look at what he was about to take out of his backpack. When they saw how many different fruits and gadgets our hero found, they were all very surprised. And also, looking at his happy sister, our hero took out a flower and showed it to her. Shu added that he didn't know if he liked it or not, but he wanted to give it to her. Seeing this, the girl was so touched and glad that grabbing the flower, she thanked her brother, smiling broadly. And then she decided to show the director the flower she had. The director, of course, thought it was incredibly cute and smiled at the girl. Our hero, looking at this picture, was also very happy. Then they noticed that it looked like the young man had also collected some mushrooms, and our hero confirmed their guess. At that moment, the director added to Shu that he needed to go to the city tomorrow. It would be easier to know right away what might be useful, rather than dragging everything with you in a row. After hearing these words, our hero concluded that it means he can go to the forest again, and even the director understood that if she said no, he wouldn't listen at all. But he had to go back to the dark. That's the only thing she asked him to do. Hearing this, of course, the young man was very glad that he was given the go-ahead for such things. After a couple of moments, the sister who appeared next to him also started waving and saying that she wanted to go with her brother. She was immediately allowed and asked to be careful. Meanwhile, our hero was thinking that this was his first city in another world, and he, of course, could not wait to meet him. One day, our hero's little sister began to cry bitterly, and of course, he tried to calm her down, because today he woke up to his sister crying loudly. The reason was simple. She was so happy with the flower he gave her that she went to bed with him, and it looks like when Shu lay down next to her, he simply crushed it. And when my sister saw this, she was very upset. Of course, the young man, if he had known that this would happen, he would have picked more flowers for his sister. Therefore, stroking her head, he asked her not to worry, promising that he would get her more. The girl, with tears in her eyes, looking at our hero, could not believe that he would really do it. After consuming breakfast, his sister calmed down and they headed into the city. When they came to the city, they were delighted with how big and beautiful it was. In the city center, you can get almost anything, although it is much more expensive, so the locals buy outside the city. So, approaching the next counter, our heroes were surprised at the variety of food that was presented, and the seller, seeing the children, of course, asked not to pass by. When they saw Charles-chan, they all realized that she had come shopping with the guys today, because everyone noticed that she had taken a couple of kids. Turning to the young lady, everyone asked what vegetables she wanted to buy this time, while others offered to buy something and then they would give her a discount. Listening to all this, our hero realized that Charles-chan was very popular. His sister was also surprised by what kind of girl was popular in this city. Charles began to feel shy, explaining that she was not so wonderful because it was all the director. It still seemed to our hero that it was about Charles. He and his sister thought so too. Then they came to the pharmacy. The salesman greeted them. When he saw Charles-chan, he realized that it was a familiar face to him. The girl greeted him, and our heroes decided to follow her example. The man, of course, was interested to find out why the girl came this time and whether medicines were needed for children. At that moment, Sister Shu was sniffing something very suspiciously, while Charles was telling that she had come for medicinal herbs today. After hearing that they needed medicinal herbs, the seller explained that he had received something this week, and Charles said that any would suit her. At this moment, our hero watched how, after sniffing various herbs, his sister felt very strange. Charles also asked to tell her about the useful herbs that grow in the dragon forest. Hearing about the dragon forest, of course, the man was surprised, hoping that the girl did not actually gather the dragon forest alone. Then she said even more shocking things, saying that she was asking for these children, pointing at Shu and his sister. They immediately turned to the seller and asked to tell them. Of course, upon hearing this, the man laughed, realizing that since it was for these children, they, of course, would not climb into the forest themselves. So he decided to tell me. All three of them immediately fell silent, realizing that the seller did not believe that in fact Shu had already gone to the dragon forest himself. Then he showed some of the cheap herbs and mushrooms that can be sold expensively in an alchemy shop. By the way, the shopkeeper was working on magic potions and witchcraft tools. Magic potions, unlike simple medicines, are much more expensive, as they are more difficult to produce, but have stronger effects and act instantly. And to use witchcraft tools, you need your own magical powers or a demonic core. And the demonic core is the crystallized power of the monster, and it serves as a kind of battery for the instrument. Then our heroes went to the alchemy shop. When they got there, Shu was thinking about what it would look like to be a witch's dwelling, but it was a completely ordinary house. Of course, they were met there by a man who looked intimidating, saying that they often visited him. And thus she scared Sister Shu and our hero very much. Only Charles Chan looked at her calmly. When she saw the young lady, the woman realized that her eyes were probably not letting her down. It was really her. Charles greeted her and explained that she wanted to sell something today. Realizing that the girl wanted to sell something, the woman immediately looked sternly at her with her gaze, trying to figure out where they got what she saw, and decided to take a look for now. After looking at what she showed, Cheryl decided to ask the woman to tell her about it, which could be found in the dragon face. Hearing about the dragon forest, of course, the woman was surprised, but she explained that it looked like they had brought it from the very edge of the forest, looking at what was on her desk. So she decided to tell the rest. Our hero learned about a variety of species of plants, mushrooms, fruits, and flowers. As for the materials from the monsters, it seems that only the cheapest ones can be obtained on the outskirts, those that the adventurer did not get. And if you're lucky, you can get a demonic core. In particular, you can get good money for the cores of strong monsters. After hearing the whole story, Charles and the others thanked the woman. The woman also asked the boy to be careful. Our hero, seeing his gaze of a woman on himself, realized that apparently she realized that he had brought the herbs. Shu, of course, was very surprised that the woman guessed. After that, they went to grocery stores and bought food and medicine. In addition, thanks to their temporary income, he was able to kill products such as flour and salt. Charles, turning to our hero, hoped that he would tell her what he wanted, because today they could afford so much only thanks to the young man. And of course, she was very embarrassed, and Charles said that she wanted to thank him from everyone. Our hero was confused and thoughtful. After all, there is nothing he needs right now. But he found something. When Charles saw that he really wanted it, our hero explained that it was so, believing that with this bag, which he had in his hands, it would be more convenient. So after that, our hero rested in the shelter for several days. One day, Shu noticed his sister waving her tail in different directions. I was trying to figure out what she was doing in the garden, and lately my sister has been doing very strange things. My sister explained that it smells very good. Looking at the grass in front of her, our hero was very surprised. Then, the young man remembered the time when they went to the pharmacy, because then she sniffed the same thing, and then she also liked the smell, as he thought. And a week later they ran out of fruit. He decided to go to the dragon forest again, but his sister explained that she would go with him today. Seeing this, the young man, of course, did not know how to politely refuse, as did the director. He understood that instead of crying because he was leaving, his sister was just going to go with him. At that moment, with sparkling eyes, she looked at our hero and proudly announced that she would also go with him. Of course, the young man was an exception, but his sister was too dangerous to climb into the forest. Looking at the director, he seemed to hint this to her with his eyes. But the sister also looked pitifully at the director, and she had to exhale heavily, explaining that it seemed she was powerless here. Looking at how she reacted, our hero thought that she was not serious about it. After all, she hardly let him go into this forest. Then the director explained that it was very dangerous in the dragon forest, and if our hero's sister wanted to go, then she had to obey Shu. And if she coped with this task, then the girl could go. Of course, the sister promised to deal with him. Our hero, seeing how carefree she talked about it, was very worried. The director looked at Shu and asked him to be careful. Of course, when he saw her gaze, the boy immediately became serious again and informed her that they would definitely behave carefully in the forest. After that, looking at his cheerful sister, He hoped that everything would really be all right. Our hero decided that since his sister had asked to go with him, it was necessary to sort out the luggage. She took a shovel, a branch, and pebbles with her, and Shu realized that her luggage was a little different from what he took with him. Therefore, he asked his sister not to be too strict about the fact that he was rummaging through her things. Of course, she immediately agreed, and he got rid of her knife, and in return gave her a bottle of water, a piece of black bread. So our heroes walked together, holding hands. Watching his sister, the boy decided that, as it seemed to him, she was in a good mood, because at that moment her sister was singing songs and waving a stick that she had found. And then our hero decided to look at her status. And then he realized that she was at level 2. He was still at 1, although it seemed to him that they were exercising the same way, and it was so, he should have started running. With this thought, they reached the dragon forest. And today, he wanted to go along the left side of the forest, but since it was a shame with him, they went to the same place where he had already been. And he told his sister that he would go and get some fruit, and she had to wait for him. The sister ran straight ahead, and then our hero saw a tree with a mark. The sister immediately jumped on, began to sniff something intently. When he saw this, he didn't understand what she was doing. The girl also said that she was actually looking for medicines, and when she heard about them, the young man was surprised. The sister simply explained that she remembered the smell of those medicines and would help her brother, and would find the very medicines that they had seen in the store. Of course, our hero was very surprised that his sister remembers the smells of medicinal herbs from a trip to the city. And then he realized that her skills included an improved sense of smell and, probably, she had a cat's nose. Then it was necessary to go a little further. The sister did not understand how much more she could walk, but our hero patiently took her by the hand and led her forward. She was sniffing around. The next moment, she saw a giant tree which she really liked and immediately rushed to it, so our hero was unable to stop her. Climbing a tree, the sister offered to look at her brother, which apples she found on this tree. Our hero, of course, immediately asked to throw them to him. So the girl started throwing apples to our hero, and he started catching them. After that, when they threw off all the apples, the young man asked her to finally get off, because that should have been enough for them. But at that very moment, the sister fell silent and began to look at our hero, from which he realized that something was wrong. The girl explained that she was very scared. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she looked down in horror. For our hero, of course, it was amazing that not so long ago she so selflessly climbed this tree, but now she was already sitting and crying. After picking his sister up from the tree, he decided that she had climbed up on him just like a cat, because he had to help her down. She hung on his back, and our hero, having lowered his sister from the tree, went on with her. He understood that there should have been another one somewhere here, but at that moment his sister ran away from him again to sniff out something. When she ran up to the grass, she began to sniff it. Our hero realized that there was something interesting there, since the girl had been sitting near one place for so long. And then my sister told me that there were mushrooms there. Our hero understood that it was these mushrooms that he saw in the alchemist's shop, patting his sister on the head and thanking her. He also asked her not to run away, because he was very worried about her. And the sister, of course, immediately agreed. He hoped that she understood exactly because she smiled so much, as if she was answering automatically and did not really understand what our hero demanded of her. After that, they walked a little further and found the 4th marked tree. Our hero sighed and asked her to sit down and rest a little, as well as sit quietly addressing her sister. The thing was that he had a sense of presence, which was discovered by 4 people, and most likely they were just adventurers. Watching them from behind the grass, our hero decided. Several people were trying to find something. One of the girls said that he had definitely hit someone with an arrow. He had to die somewhere where they were standing. If she hit him, the second person explained that she had to watch where the carcass was falling. That's when Shu realized that these guys had lost their prey. After a while, they left, and our hero invited his sister to exhale. Now, everything was in order. She even closed her mouth to stop breathing, and at that moment, she exhaled. The young man realized that she had held her breath for so long, and was very surprised that she took his words so seriously. Now he offered to make a halt. Sitting down near the tree, the sister decided to try one of the fruits that was in her hands. But at that moment, they heard something and, looking at each other, were surprised to try to figure out what exactly it was. The sister turned around and invited Shu to look where she was looking. And then Shu thought to himself that he felt a faint presence that was somewhere here. And that's when they saw a bird that had been shot down by an arrow. Shu realized that this was probably the bird they were looking for. The assessment showed that the baby bird of the small eagle was still very young and, most likely, the adventurers were looking for it. After looking closely at the bird, Shu realized that the arrow itself was not fatal. But he can't fly and loses a lot of blood. The sister, turning to her brother, believed that the bird was very poor. And our hero realized that she probably wanted him to help. But if he came up, then most likely the bird would not be very happy with it. As it turned out, when our hero took a step towards her, the bird tried to back away, but due to the fact that it was in great pain, it immediately fell down. And our hero, calling the system window, realized that apparently the bird had lost consciousness. As he was getting close to her, taking her in his arms, he realized that his right wing was damaged. Then he decided that he would pretend to be helping, and he would use healing magic. So the bird's breathing was restored, and it was time to get this very arrow. Using wind magic, it was possible to make the stream thinner and use it as a circular saw to break this arrow, which our hero did. A second later, the arrow was broken, and only the tip remained, which had to be removed. When they turned the bird over, they saw that it had lost a lot of blood, but thanks to the magic of our hero, he had to heal his wounds and regain his strength. And while he was healing it, he noticed something that looked like a demonic core, but there wasn't much power coming from it. Our hero didn't know if he was using magic, but while he was thinking about it, he felt as if his powers were being pulled out of him. So that our hero would not be devastated, he began to absorb magical powers from the environment. His magical powers began through the little eagle, and after a while they saw that the eagle began to make sounds again. My sister was very happy because they managed to save this bird. Now our hero offered to let him go because the bird was lying right in the girl's arms, and she tried to do it. Then, when the bird was left alone, our heroes hid behind trees and watched carefully from behind them. At that very second, the bird began to walk confidently towards them, and Shu was very surprised. And then she started rubbing against his leg and making some sounds. And then she turned to him as her mother. After hearing that he was addressed as Mom, our hero realized that this chick had marked Shu as a newborn chick. My sister immediately asked my brother to let her touch this bird. Our hero asked her to wait and decided to do it first. Turning to the bird, he hoped with a questioning look that he could touch it, and the bird immediately agreed. And it looks like he didn't mind being touched. The sister followed the example of our hero, stroked the bird on the head. She could see that Paichin liked it. Our hero realized that the girl had named the bird Pai, and then his sister explained that it was so, because he constantly says, Pee-pee. That's why she named him Paichan. Once, she had already given him a name. Our hero realized that now the chick could not be left in this forest, and with such thoughts, he applied an assessment to the small eagle. It turned out that there was another reason why it could not be left, because it turned out to be our hero's familiar. Shu no doubt wanted to be taming him, but it wasn't that simple. The little sister seemed to have fun, but our hero now did not understand what he had to do. Looking at how she stroked the bird, the young man had a lot of questions. For example, would the director allow him to leave Paichan? Or did he need to decide where to keep this bird and what to feed him? Thanks to the training skill, Paichan became his familiar, so now he could see his status. Apparently, he can only privately admit that this eagle was watching him. If he is not allowed to bring him to the city, then he will have to keep him in the dragon forest. But the bigger problem remains. Food. Namely, what does Paichan eat? Meat, like other birds of prey or something else. Our hero knew that if he took him to a shelter, there would be no meat for him. At that moment, his sister was already teaching Paichan to give her a paw. Our hero decided that even if he hunted, he did not know whose meat would suit this bird. In order to find monsters, they would have to go deeper into the forest. So while they were walking through the forest, our hero decided that perhaps Paichan would eat fruit, so he offered him an apple. When Paichan saw the apple, he immediately began to eat it, and his sister asked his brother to pay attention to it. Our hero was very surprised that Paichan was eating, and also so fast. But then the young man decided that it might be better to feed him meat, and, it seems, he would have to get him game. A bow and arrow are best suited for both hunting and protection. But Shu also wanted to use magic. Our hero reflected to himself. After that, he suggested that his sister go look for mushrooms and useful herbs. As soon as Paijin finished eating, our heroes gathered some fruits. This time, Shu climbed a tree and threw apples to his sister to catch them. My sister didn't do it very well, and the first apple hit her in the head. Along the way, our hero asked his sister to look for mushrooms, medicinal herbs for sale, but he did not want to exchange all of them with his mouth. And as it turned out, Pai-chan can't fly properly. The fact that he had to carry him home by himself, that's exactly what he did, while his sister walked by his side and hoped that Pai-chan was doing well. So our heroes finally returned to the shelter. With screams, they burst into the house, and the sister rushed to the director, and our hero, holding the bird, followed. At first, the woman met our hero's sister with tears in her eyes, asking her various questions. And then, when she looked at the boy, she tried to figure out what he had in his hands. Then the sister told me that it was Pai-chan. Our hero also told the director about everything that happened in the forest, and how they picked him up, how he helped them, and how he became his familiar. Of course, our hero did not talk about the arrow, so as not to talk about his magic. And he also told his sister that it was a secret, and the sister, of course, was not going to give it away. At that moment, when the young man was talking about it, his sister was standing next to the director and winking at him. Of course, watching her reaction, our hero was not sure how long it would remain a secret. Shu tied a piece of cloth around Pai-chan's injury. He's not flying yet anyway, and that should have been enough for cover. The director, after listening to their whole story, now realized that since he was our hero's familiar, she thought that nothing would happen if they left him, which made the child very happy, and they rushed into the director's arms. The sister shouted words of gratitude, and our hero also thanked the director. The same one asked them to calm down, because she understood that you can't leave someone in trouble, even a monster like Pai-chan. However, she did not know if she would allow our hero to keep him in the city. I should have gone and asked the soldiers about it tomorrow. Our hero obediently agreed. The director added that the young man should have been careful when he was carrying him like that. Although as familiar, she knew that he was a monster. The young man understood that the director was speaking correctly. The next day, our heroes, led by the director and Pai-chan, went to the city. And for some reason, his sister went with them, because earlier she had persuaded the guys to take along with them. And, as our hero realized, it seems Pai-chan liked to sit in his arms, watching the bird bask in his arms. The soldiers' department was located just outside the city gates. It's not far from the shelter, and when they got there, they were met by a guard. When he saw the director, he immediately greeted politely, as did everyone, including our heroes. The guard immediately realized that something had happened and did not understand why they took the children with them. At that moment, Pai-chan looked at the guard very contemptuously, and he pulled out his sword, saying that there was a monster here. They had to run. The director, seeing how the guard rushes at the children along with the bird, asked them to stop, because the child is fine, and they just came because of the monster. Upon hearing that this was the case, the guard was surprised that they apparently needed advice, and then the director explained that it was all because this little eagle had become a tamed monster. At that moment, while she was explaining, our hero was trying to calm Pai-chan down. Hearing that it was a familiar, of course, the guard was very surprised. Then our hero's sister came forward and asked him not to get involved with Pai-chan. She was very angry, and then, seeing how brave the girl was, she wanted to protect the familiar. The guard asked her to calm down, because he was not climbing anywhere, putting his sword in the scabbard. The guy realized that the monster was a familiar Shu, but did not understand what they specifically wanted from him. And then the director, very surprised, explained that they probably needed permission to tame the monster. That's why they came. But the guard explained that permission was not needed, because this rarely happens and there were no such rules yet. Upon hearing this, everyone was very surprised. The guard also assured that this was indeed the case, but they would surprise the locals and therefore they needed something to show. Of course, everyone understood this, and the guard also explained that they would send a boat to the soldiers so that everyone would know about it. And it would be better if they also went to the guild and explained to the adventurers. The director thanked the guard for telling her everything in such detail, explaining that then they would go to the adventurers guild. When they came to the guild, they met a sweet girl who was happy to help them. The director, after greeting her, wanted to explain to her what she would like to know about familiars. Then the girl realized that this little eagle was theirs, and the director told her that it was the boy's familiar, and she came to register it. Immediately, the girl explained that they shouldn't have done this. The director was surprised to tell what she had asked the soldier. She was told that she needed to register it so that the adventurers would not attack. The girl explained that it was really important when they started a monster, so that there would be no misunderstanding, and it was necessary to mark our hero's familiar. Then, she was very interested in who this bird should be recorded on, and whether they have anything as a distinctive sign. The woman said that she would sign him up for Shu, and as a sign, she needed to make sure from Shu himself that he thought about it. Our hero was thinking that he prefers things that don't cost money, and decided that they could just use a simple scarf. The director decided that since the scarf would be familiar, she informed the woman about it. The girl needs to understand what color our heroes wanted, and then the sister intervened in the conversation, explaining that it would be red, and Paichin was immediately delighted. Everyone was very surprised at how the sister intervened in the conversation. But, laughing, the director added that it looked like this distinctive color would be red. And then the girl at the reception decided that she would post the information on the bulletin board. Thanking them for this, the guys left the guild. After the guild, they went to a clothing store and were greeted there, and our hero was shown that it was a familiar store. It was too expensive to buy clothes for all the children, so the director would sew them, and he'd already seen such a fabric before. At this moment, our hero's sister was surprised at how beautiful it all looked, and she really liked it. Our hero, watching them, realized that he was not keeping up. They bought a little more fabric as it will soon begin to grow, and, saying goodbye to the seller, they went on. Coming back to the orphanage, as soon as they returned, the sister immediately began to beg the director to start sewing. With a bitter smile, the director immediately started, even though Paichin tried to stop our hero's sister, realizing that the director was uncomfortable. After she finished, our heroes looked closely at Paichin and saw the beautiful scarf she had made for him. It looked incredible, so Paichin came out in a red scarf. Shu left Paichin with his sister and talked to the director. For now, he can keep Paichin in the city, but this will pass, and the problem will come primarily with food and his size. So far, it is very small, but over time it will seriously grow out, and it will need impressive amounts of meat. Shu thought to himself that it turns out that he has no choice but to hunt using his magical advantage. So, our hero decided that as Paichin grows, his stomach will soon grow too. He needed to hunt more, so that instead of a single foray into the dragon forest, he would get out every 3 days. Therefore, he should practice hunting more diligently, since Shu is still a child. His only choices are pit, trap, and bolas. While he is away, Paichin will be taken care of by his sister and a rabbit girl, Iris, and a boy named Cruz, who also lived with them at the shelter. When the guys saw Paichin, they immediately surrounded him and rejoiced at what a cool red ball the bird had. Our hero, of course, was surprised, not understanding why they were behaving like this. But it seems they were glad that they had a new youngest. The next day, our hero walked the streets with his sisters Charles and Paichin to show people that he was harmless. So they showed everyone who passed by them, saying that it was a bird, and people looked at the guys in surprise. It even seemed to our hero that Paichin was getting more and more used to people. Along the way, Shu also bought a rope from which to tie a bolus. And for pit traps, he could use earth magic and a shovel from the shelter, as our hero found out when they returned to the shelter. To begin with, he used magic to shape the stone before anyone noticed. In a similar way, it was necessary to prepare 3 stones and tie them together. So he got a bolus with 3 loads. Our hero wanted to check which one was easier to use, holding it in his hands. The next thing he had to do was make pits, traps, and he did not know how many holes he should have dug, because he believed that it depended on the size of the victim. Therefore, he decided to ask Charles about the inhabitants of the dragon forest. The girl thought about it and explained that if the hero cares about this, then there are animals in the forest: hares, deer, wild boars, bears, and wolves. Upon hearing this, our hero realized that it was more than he thought. Charles added that there were quite a few of them. If you go further into the forest, then he will get into the area of monsters, where animals do not survive. And he also had to be careful because goblins often live on the edge of the forest. When our hero heard about the tapestries, he couldn't believe his ears and was very surprised. Charles added that they use tools and live in groups, so he had to be on the lookout. Of course, This scared Shu, and after hearing what he heard, he went outside and began practicing digging magic. He decided that he would cover the pit with branches and leaves, but this would not kill anyone. He needed to figure out how to end his trap. The next day, he went to Dragon Fox alone. He had managed to get used to this place, having already walked around it so many times. When he left the orphanage, he asked his sister to sit with Pai-chan. She didn't object, and so now he realized that he was a little lonely. This time, he wanted to focus on hunting. So, to begin with, he decided to pick up a little bit of everything. As always, brushwood, mushrooms, medicinal herbs, a little fruit would not hurt. And since they won't rot in the item box, I decided to put everything there. He used to use magic detection on Earth, but when he found out that there were bird-type monsters here, he got worried and hadn't noticed before. But there really were a lot of animals in the sky. This bird has no magical powers, but he needs to be careful in case flying monsters appear, the boy thought, looking at the bird flying by. He was also glad because he was lucky that no one attacked him while he was careless. The next moment, there was a bang, and so far, our hero has thus survived several holes near fruit trees and marked them with stones. Going further, he created a label. I thought that so many holes were enough, and now it was time to practice with bolas. When throwing bolas, our hero understood that one throw was direct due to his throwing skill. But the projectile did not fly far, and the flight was not fast. Perhaps it was because of a lack of physical strength, or perhaps our hero thought that it was because of talent. If so, then he should have tried to improve the result with magic. Spin the stone in a magical vortex and send it flying, which is what our hero did at that moment. But it was a failure. You might as well just throw rocks. He understood that this added speed to his abilities, but the vortex did not pick up bolas properly, so our hero was trying to figure out what he needed to do next. He decided to create a funnel around the projectile and launch it like a catapult to increase its speed. After that, having done this, our hero realized that it had finally worked. But it was becoming difficult to control and thought it would be best to use the balance of 2 loads in the forest and with 3 loads with magical support against flying targets. Having decided so, our hero continued to train. The result was strikingly depressing. After all, the lack of experience is not so easy to overcome. She was very tired and postponed bolas until better times, and pinned his hopes on traps because there was no result. The next time, he decided that he would place traps deeper in the forest, going up to them and realizing that nothing had worked out. Completely upset and tired, our hero went on. It's been almost a month since he started practicing hunting. At this time, he went into the forest every 3 or 4 days. Each time he managed to collect enough fruits, herbs, mushrooms, and potatoes. As for hunting, everything was to no avail. Well, our hero was really glad. The plants they planted began to yield. He planted it just 2 months ago, and that he thinks it's a little early. This is due to the magic of restoration, most likely, as our hero decided and our garden is gradually growing, so it becomes more difficult to apply magic to it. But he tried. At that moment, they were sitting at the table and eating together, and the sister thanked them, talking about how delicious the food was on her plate. Speaking of magic, Pai-chan also practiced magic every day. But our hero could not understand that it was getting harder to hold him. Looking at his sister, our hero thought. And he did not notice how Pai-chan had risen to level 3. Probably, the monster raises the level using magic, concluded Shu. In addition, Pai-chan is learning to fly again and will soon be able to take to the air on his own. When he can fly well enough, our hero will take him hunting. At that moment, the young man's sister was encouraging the bird to take off. Then, as usual, our hero went to dragon weight to gain weight. Following through the forest, the sound of detection suddenly sounded, and the young man realized that there was something there. Running up to the trap, and then he realized that something had hit her. It was probably a feed. He applied the assessment to the seat and found out that it was from a representative of the horned hare species from level 1. So he was still a cub. But he didn't understand how he got stuck in this place. Then our hero realized that this animal had dug its horn into the ground and could not move, taking it out. Our hero believed that he was weakened because he had been upside down for a long time. So the young man dug out his magic and pulled him out into the light. Looking at the strange hare, our hero now did not understand what he had to do with it, because it was his first prey. If he brings a bloodless corpse to the orphanage, then the children will definitely not be happy. So he decided that it looked like one victim was going home. And he was very sorry, but there was nothing he could do, even though he used recovery magic on it. A lot of strength went into the demonic core of the hare. After that, he collected herbs for a while, keeping the hare in sight. If he leaves, the monsters will find him, and he is unlikely to get up. The boy understood. The hare moved, started making noises. The young man saw that he stood up, and the next moment, the hare jumped straight to our hero, dodging him. The young man did not understand what was happening. The next moment, when the hare plopped down next to him and began to cry piteously, our hero hoped that everything was fine. When he got closer to the hare, he made sure that he was all right. But at that moment, the hare jumped right towards him. And then our hero realized that he had already seen this somewhere. When he opened his status, he saw the expected postscript. But our hero, of course, guessed that the hare was now his familiar. The hare called him Mom. Our hero decided that it was probably some kind of joke. Shu guessed what it meant when he poured enough magic into the monster. He's tamed, but maybe, probably, because he poured it into the core. And the fact that they call him Mom means that only a little thing lends itself to him. Of course, it upset him, but he decided not to think about it now. First, it was necessary to decide what to do with his horned hare. Well, he understood that there was nothing to do because he would obviously have to take him home. If he was hungry, there were a lot of flowers. He had nothing else to eat, so when he saw that our hero was following him, he tried to figure out what he needed to do now. But the young man decided that there should be no problems with the hare. They eat grass, so the orphanage garden should have been enough. And in another forest, there was quite a lot of food for him. And yet, after all, he suffered so much with Pai Chan's food and could barely feed one familiar. And now they are already starting a second one. The director will be disappointed rather than angry, the young man decided. After that, he gathered fruits and other things and came with a hare and an armful to the shelter. When he hid near the door and looked out from behind it, he told everyone that he had finally come. The sister was delighted, but the next moment, a rabbit appeared from behind his leg. And she was very surprised. And then they saw Pai Chan and the hare making sounds of joy and good relations. Our hero was even very surprised that they became friends, and it seemed that Pai Chan did not mind at all. At that very moment, a panting girl came running. It was Iria-chan. When she saw this horned hare, she didn't understand what was wrong with it. The hero looked at her in surprise and explained that he was now his familiar. Then the girl decided that she would take care of this child by grabbing him. Our hero did not understand what had happened, because he had not yet received permission from the director. Then the girl ran away, saying that she would ask her permission. Looking after the fleeing one, Iria, our hero, and his sister, along with the bird, were very surprised by her reaction. Upon entering the director's office, our hero wanted to talk about the horned hare, and the director explained that she had already heard this from Iria-chan. In general, she suggested that our hero look at this picture himself. He saw Iria hugging this hare. There was an atmosphere of love and tranquility around them, and he realized that they had already got along. The girl even gave him a name and called him Miyu. After seeing how happy some of them were, our hero tried to figure out if it was really his familiar. It wasn't like that at all. And his sister, on the contrary, rejoiced at how well it all turned out. The next day, our hero went to the soldier section of the Adventurers Guild to tell them about Miyu. Our hero understood that because there could be even more monsters in the future. Miyu also received a red scarf as a distinctive mark. From now on, all they had to do was tell them the type of monster and just wrap a red scarf around its neck. After all, our hero does not know. Perhaps in the future he will take something else. When he came home, his little sister walked past him, and he was trying to figure out what had happened. The boy explained that there were only 3 people left, and the young man realized that they were playing tag. Miyu was a monster, so the guy was caught right away. It's interesting because she's a horned hare. Because it's especially fast. Iria-chan was just amazing, the way the guys screamed while watching her jump. Miyu was also very fast, and they didn't understand how she managed to run so much and not get tired. It was very nice. Our hero, watching the hare, realized that he had good physical strength. At that moment, they realized that Cruz had managed to escape somewhere, but no one knew where he hid. Miyu watched this carefully. The next moment, when she felt something, She jumped into the bushes and was able to find him. No one understood how she found him. Our hero, looking at this, understood that the hare has the skill of detecting enemies. Apparently that was the whole point, and maybe Miyu would help him with this future. He decided. The next moment, when he told Iria about it, she explained that it was absolutely impossible. The dragon forest is dangerous. Our hero explained that she had lived there beautifully before. Besides, there is a lot of grass in the forest that she can eat. Iria was unhappy with this, but at that moment the director came up and explained that she would be fine with Shu and therefore the girl should not worry. She thought about it and, looking at the hare, explained that it was better for our hero to take care of her, not to let her get hurt. Of course, that's what the young man wanted to do. After taking the hare, he said goodbye to the others and went into the forest. At that moment, he saw Miyu looking pitifully back, and our hero thought that he probably felt lonely, and Miyu just squeaked something in response. He also promised that as soon as they got to the forest, she could only eat as many herbs as she wanted, trying to calm her down like that. When they were cleaning up the forest, our hero saw that she was eating something and decided that the amount of food in the garden of the shelter was limited, so he regularly brought a hare here, and he hoped that she could hear if there were any animals here. The hare just looked at our hero questioningly and then ran somewhere. He knew that she must have found something, but his magical detection didn't work. But when he ran after the hare, he realized that it was here. At that moment, looking out from behind the bushes, he saw several rabbits. He certainly felt a slight reaction after using the magic detection again. Perhaps because of the power after the magical power of the dragon forest. People using magical detection on animals can't detect anything. He still thought that monsters could be found because of their high magical power. This means that a smile is very useful for hunting animals. Miyu, he thanked her for her good work. And now, he had to figure out how to catch the rabbits. For now, he needed to make a large pit using earth magic. He improved 3 stone bolas by connecting several strands together to form a web, making an improvised network. Then he asked me to take the rabbits to the pit. If they fall into a pit, that's fine. If they do not fall into the pit, then our hero decided that he would catch them with a net. Since Miyu, his familiar, could use telepathy, so he sent her a signal to launch an attack. The next moment, Miyu was already near the rabbits, and our hero realized that they had come. Everything was going well, and one of the rabbits seemed to have fallen into a trap. Our hero decided that since he got out of it, now Shu had to start the network. He tried to throw a net, but nothing worked, and the rabbit that fell into the hole escaped and our hero did not succeed. Miyu, looking at him, picked up that the young man was upset and snuggled closer to him. And our hero, hugging her, explained that they were very sorry and decided that he needed to calm down because, first of all, rabbits are clearly too fast to get caught in the net. He had no idea that they could climb out of the pit and run away. He asked Miyu to tell him if he didn't find any other monsters and then went back to collecting. So, collecting mushrooms, our hero realized that he had a lot of them along with everything else. The hare heard something at that moment, and our hero, seeing how she pricked up her ears, realized that she had noticed something. So they had to run after her. The next moment, when she led him to the edge of the forest, he saw a fawn sleeping peacefully in the shade. It was necessary to dig a hole even deeper than before and prepare a net. The next moment, he signaled Miyu, and their hunt began. Miyu came close to the fawn and tried to corner it. The next moment, our hero, seeing that his target was running straight towards him, decided to throw the bolus. In the next moment, he was caught. Our hero had to be sure that his prey would not escape. It was necessary to hurry up and fix the stones on the ground with the help of earth magic. They succeeded, and our hero was even surprised that they caught him. It was a success, and together with Miyu, they were happy. At that moment, looking at this fawn, our hero realized that he was really very cute, and it was very hard. He was thinking that he just didn't want to do it. Miyu saw that our hero was very depressed, and in the next moments she jumped straight to the fawn. Our hero was very surprised that she was able to knock him down and knock him to the ground. Miyu was proud of herself. He realized that she had killed the fawn for him because he was beside himself. Miyu proudly showed it. Our hero thought it was wrong. He needed to do it himself. The next moment, he tried to get the fawn and thanked Mia for her help, and now he needed to figure out what he needed to do about it. Of course, Pai-chan wasn't big enough to eat meat yet, but the biggest problem right now was that his sisters would surely cry. Therefore, it was necessary to put the carcass in an item box, which our hero actually did. Throwing it over his shoulders, our hero decided that he still had a little time to hunt. If there was any prey nearby, they could have caught it. He turned to Miyu and then looked at him questioningly. Our hero hoped that she could probably find them right now. I had to look around while they were coming back. Unfortunately, they didn't find any other animals, but Miyu was able to find many medicinal plants. The evaluation showed that much of what Miyu found was rare and very powerful. He is sure that it will sell well, but Miyu thinks that the plants are too delicious to sell. So heading further home, our hero thanked Miyu for helping him today, and she only nodded happily in response. They caught only one deer. It was a good one walk. And the hare was also happily making her usual noises, trying to cheer up our hero. So they came to the shelter. Shu came and notified everyone that he was finally at home and the guys were happy to welcome him. They did not think that something had happened and probably the hare was injured. Our hero seemed to understand that she was not injured anywhere. Well, the guys could smell the blood. Cruz understood that he could smell the blood left on him after our hero drained the deer of blood. But, as befits a half-human wolf, he had an excellent sense of smell. Our hero understood, and it was very disturbing. But I didn't know how to explain myself to them. As he sat down, the young man realized that he had to be honest. And then he told me that Miyu had caught a deer, and that when Shu drained the blood and probably got on him, Shu knew that his sister would cry when she saw the body, thinking that he must have been angry. But when he took out the deer, his sister reacted in a way he hadn't expected and started screaming about how amazing it was. And Iria thanked Miyu, saying that she was great. The half-wolf men also thanked the hare, stroking his head. And our hero, looking at this picture, did not understand what was happening. It seemed to him that wasn't a considered food. Maybe he didn't understand something. He didn't even know what was wrong with him. He was killing rabbits, and it was bad. But he could easily hunt deer. It was strange for Shu. The director thought that Shu had done a great job, and Charles thanked him too. The rice that was on the table made it even more luxurious, she thought. So they began to eat, and our hero, sitting with everyone else, was now thinking that everyone was really happy that they could eat meat, which made him happy too. A month has passed since our hero's first successful hunt. A lot of things have changed since then. Firstly, the composition of the group going to Dragonweight has changed. Now it was Shu, his younger sister Iria, and Cruz. When they went together, this time our hero needed more manpower to increase their income. Adults can't go because they have jobs in the city. Iria-chan and Cruz-kun will be with Miyu, and our hero will go ahead. And he was very grateful to the guys for helping him. Of course, Cruz thought they would become adventurers too. Iria decided that it would be a good workout. Realizing that the guys are saying this, now our hero has concluded that discrimination against animal people is widespread in this country, and therefore many of them have to get more dangerous jobs in order to survive. And the guys were no exception. But he was glad that the harvest had increased and now everyone was really happy. Cruz, of course, thanked for all his sense of smell along with our hero's sister. At that moment, Miyu noticed something, and our hero realized that it was time to go hunting. Addressing the guys, he asked that they all split up. Having listened to our hero, everyone got down to business. The hunt went very well. Pai-chan hunted alone. In addition, it became possible for him to hunt prey, looking for enemies from the sky. It was difficult to hunt alone, so they were in groups and did it together. And thanks to Cruz-kun, it became easier for Shu to take home some large prey without arousing suspicion. So, for example, when they killed another deer, Cruz carried it himself. All the guys were delighted with his strength. There was a lot of meat in the deer, and they are a success at the shelter, as our hero understood. Miyu, Pai-chan, and Iria, and Cruz were all level 5 now. However, Shu himself was somehow still at first. That's how he spent his days. And now our hero has turned 5 years old. Now everyone was at level 9. And the 10th level of the limit comes out, since it has not been raised for almost a year, as the young man guessed. Little by little, Cruz started training with a wooden sword, and Iria bought a short bow. The number of children living in the shelter was also increasing, and now there were about 50 of them. Today, they wanted to ask the city to increase the amount of the subsidy and repair the building, but they were refused. A lord who was doing really good things for the city has fallen ill, so his son is acting on his behalf. He wants to stop supporting the orphanage where our hero and his friends lived. When our heroes were about to leave the city again, the guard greeted the children from the orphanage. So it is now, and every day came and went from the city gates. Since he knew about the plight of the orphanage, our hero went out especially for them. And on the way back, he shared fruits with the soldiers. Leaving the city, the soldiers realized that the young man was heading to the Dragon Forest again today. Of course, our hero always replied that this was exactly what he was doing. One of the guards then decided that just so he knew, there were a lot of bad adventurers around, so the guys had to be more careful. Our hero did not understand if it was really bad, to which the guard explained to him that he was not even engaged in guild work. The citizens were really worried, and in the Dragon Forest, people were extorted money for their property, as he explained to our hero and those who were next to him. Hearing this, Iria was very indignant. The guard also said that, apparently, they were all hired by the landowner. In any case, the guys had to be careful if anything happened. Of course, the children thanked the guard and ran to the Dragon Forest. Iria was very excited, and Miyu was running next to her and making her usual sounds, thereby supporting Iria. Cruz said that lately there have been rumors about the danger of these places, but he did not understand if such people really exist. I asked these questions out loud, and Iria explained that in any case, it was necessary to be careful. Our hero's sister just looked at the guys in surprise, listening to what they were discussing. So, they came to the forest. Of course, the number of adventurers in the Dragon Forest had increased, so they tried to stay away from them. As they walked through the forest, they suddenly realized that, however, there was a limit to such tactics, because they had stumbled upon someone. Our hero understood that there were so many people around that they would not be able to find anything here. Iria noticed that it would be better for them to change their place. If they were walking, then when it comes to changing locations, they will have to go further into the forest to a place on a remote main road, as Cruz decided. But our hero told us that it was just dangerous to go on. Shu decided that he would leave for a while and find a new place. So, an hour away from the main road, our hero realized that this place was ideal for finding something for a shelter. Turning to Pai-chan, who was circling above them, our hero sent to take care of them, Pai-chan, only gloriously making his sounds, was glad to do it. Shu, meanwhile, decided to use magic detection. Cruz-kun and the young man's sister had an excellent sense of smell. Both Iria and Miyu will explore the surroundings, as they can hear perfectly. At that moment, our hero felt something, explaining what he had found. And that's when Cruz realized it smelled like blood, and Iria explained that she heard someone crying. Shu asked everyone to be vigilant and suggested to see who is making or what is making these sounds. So they headed forward towards the sounds that came from nearby. And the next moment, they saw a terrible picture. There were several cubs in front of them who were mourning their parent. Seeing this, of course, our heroes were also scared, realizing that the wolf that was lying on the ground was seriously injured. They were wolves, the sister shouted to Oni Nian. It was necessary to provide all this to Shu. At that moment, the wolves began to pounce on our hero. Therefore, all he could do was ask the guys to support the wolves, addressing everyone. The guys grabbed the wolves, and the next moment our hero decided to approach their leader. When he got closer to the wounded wolf and examined it, he realized that his pain was quite severe. Using his magic and analysis, the young man began to treat him. He treated him for a very long time, while everyone else watched in surprise. Most of Shu's magical power was poured into the monster's core when he held the hand with the image, and it closed in his mind. The wolf's breathing calmed down, Shu was lying peacefully, and the guys let the little wolves out of their hands. Our hero's sister decided that everything seemed to be in order now. The wolves ran to their mother and curled up next to her. Cruz realized that they were safe for now. In the next moment, he realized that our hero had just used healing magic. Of course, Shu had to lie, explaining that he couldn't use it. I thought he was using something different from ordinary healing magic. Iria didn't believe it either, because it looked like the injury had healed normally. Our hero rubbed his head guiltily, explaining that, as it seemed to him, it worked well on monsters. Then the young man added that he did not take any magic lessons. He just did what he thought would be best. Listening attentively to our hero, Iria and Cruz were very surprised. The next moment, they suggested using it on children in the orphanage. Every time Cruz played outside, he was always injured, so the others had the same thing. As the boy added, and our hero decided that he would do so, because it would be nice to help them. After that, our heroes collected food, medicinal herbs, washing the wolf. That's when Cruz told Shu that she would get up soon. Realizing that this was indeed the case, our heroes dropped all their business and decided to see what was about to happen to the wolf. She started howling, and the guys realized that she was fine. At that moment, Cruz felt a slight tremor through his body, and the wolves rushed to their mother. Wagging her tail, she hugged them and then, after looking closely at the guys, headed in their direction. Our hero was very surprised, because the wolf was walking straight towards him, and then she started rubbing against him. Of course, our hero expected this, but the magic was really strong. At that moment, Cruz, looking at the young man, tried to understand what was wrong with him, because he was very scared of the moment when the wolf came up to them. Our hero simply explained that he accidentally made her his familiar, and Cruz was very surprised, not understanding if our hero knew how it happened in the first place. After all, it seems that if he heals with magic and that animal becomes a familiar, our hero explained. Iria was also surprised because she explained that the other wolves were not like his wards, talking about those that lay nearby. Shu, paying attention to the puppies, noticed her words that it looked like only Mom Wolf had become his familiar. It seemed to Iria that it would be better if all the wolves were his subordinates, but maybe Mom Wolf will be able to raise children for our hero. If the parents are subordinates, then they probably should have been the same, the others thought. Turning to the young man. Our hero's sister hoped that he would let her pet her. While our hero was carefully watching the others, his sister was stroking the wolf. And then he saw Cruz looking at him, trying to figure out what happened to Cruz. He thought that he finally had a familiar of his own. Shu and the others looked at him in surprise. Then, Cruz explained that they had their own familiars, so he was his, and he decided that he would take care of it in the wolf. But our hero immediately explained that all three were his familiars. But Cruz wasn't listening to him anymore. He told the wolf that from now on, he would be the Wolf King. So from now on, he would be the Wolf King. So from now on, his name is the King. Our hero, realizing that Cruz misunderstood everything, explained that this wolf was a female. She started getting angry at that moment and hid behind the girls. That's when Iria noticed that she didn't seem to like the name that Cruz had come up with. And our hero's sister also thought that Cruz-kun was bad. He only lowered his ears down in embarrassment. He wanted to add something, but immediately the wolf started barking at him, and all Cruz could do was ask for forgiveness in horror. Then, with tears in his eyes, he sat away from everyone. Our hero, watching him, thought that they seriously needed to come up with a maiden name for the wolf, and then Shu decided to call her the Queen. She happily agreed, and it was amazing that everything was back to normal. If she liked it, then everything was fine. The Queen was in front of them. Our hero did not understand whether it was normal that the children were also familiar, because he could not distinguish them in any way. At that moment, Iria and the others were very surprised. Our hero's sister explained to Shu that they looked completely different. Cruz, stepping into the conversation, moving away from his sadness, said that they were completely different. Our hero, upon hearing this, explained that maybe people don't have the ability to distinguish them from each other. Iria tried to find a way out of the situation, and then suggested that the guys think about their names after they figure out how to distinguish them. They all agreed together, and our hero looked closely at the mother wolf, along with her wolves. That's when he thought it would be very difficult to take care of them. Our hero's sister exhaled, and then the young man approaching the wolf hoped that Quinn was not hungry, and then he brought her a dead rabbit, offering her a seat. Quinn looked at it carefully, and then she brought the rabbit to her cubs, who also looked at her carefully and began to eat. Then our hero asked her to eat what he had brought. The next time, the wolves looked carefully, and they started eating again. Our hero, seeing that they were looking at him again, realized that apparently they were still hungry. But they ate everything in the blink of an eye. So far, our hero has had to worry about Pai-chan and the others. She eats everything he brought to the shelter, and so they have an adult wolf and 3 puppies. And every day there would be an insurmountable shortage of meat, as he had just realized. And it seems that now our hero will have to honestly tell the director about his loot box so that he can fully focus on hunting. Shu, looking at the cubs and the she-wolf, decided that he would take Quinn hunting with him. Since they now have cubs to worry about, they should go home early. The guys agreed with our hero, and they all had to go to the shelter together. When Quinn became one of his monsters, he could telepathically communicate with her, so he asked her why she was injured. At this moment, our hero's sister was trying to figure out what he was talking about. The young man explained that he understood roughly what happened to the wolves, referring to his sister. And then he told me that one day, the wolves went hunting together and came across an adventurer. Quinn told the others to run to protect them. But the adventurer, as it turned out, was aiming only at the cubs. After hearing this story, the sister decided that it was just terrible, as well as Iria, who came up to the conversation, not understanding why such things were done. And the girls listened attentively to our hero. He continued, explaining that perhaps this is the same sneaky adventurer that the soldier mentioned last time. Cruz, coming up to them too, and entering into conversation, decided that if this was the case, then he was really bad. But then he wondered where their father was. And our hero explained that he was not there because she gave birth to these cubs with the help of magic. Hearing this, the young man's sister decided that it was really amazing. And Cruz added that if she was a wolf, then he did not understand why she did not live in a pack. Our hero translated it all, explaining that she was a loner by nature. After hearing this, Cruz thought it was incredible. Our hero thought so too. And then he thought about the fact that he didn't even know Pai-chan and Miyu's parents. He had never seen them before, did not understand the biology of monsters. She was very mysterious. At that moment, Pai-chan and Miyu were watching our hero closely. They just stared at him in surprise, not understanding what he meant. Heading back to the city, our heroes were stopped by a guard. When he saw the boy, he realized that these gray wolves were his followers. The young man was scared, because he did not mark them with a piece of red cloth and was afraid that something would happen. But he explained that the guardian understood everything correctly, and today he saved them in the dragon forest. At that moment, the cubs came out from behind him. There are even more monsters, as the guard realized and understood. Our hero, pointing at them, explained that they were also his cubs. The guard decided that since they were puppies, he thought that everything would be fine, since he would give them a mark that would show that they were his followers. And our hero said that he would try and make sure that the wolves did not get into trouble. Then the guard decided to tell his guys to keep an eye on the young man. Shu thanked him, and they entered the city. With 6 monsters in the city, everyone's attention was drawn to them, and after a short walk, their group returned to the shelter to introduce the director to the new monsters. When Shu came, they explained everything to the director and went to the Adventurers Guild to provide them with their report, and also told him about the bad adventurer. Of course, initially, when Shu told the director everything, she was very scared when she saw the wolves next to him. But our hero was able to interpret everything and went back to the city. Before he left, he saw how the guys at the shelter started playing with wolves, and the young man was very glad that they were friends with each other. Quinn looked great with the red scarf that was tied around her, and addressing the director, who came up to them, our hero thanked her. She explained that everything was fine, and there was no need to thank her. But our hero decided that she needed to know something else. He told her everything, and now the director realized that he could use magic, but she didn't understand why he didn't talk about it. The young man admitted that it was difficult to say. The time was not right. There were many other moments. The director offered to let her look at it, and then the young man, using his magical powers, showed what he could do. She wasn't well informed, but it's probably entry-level magic. All this time he'd been using healing magic to make these monsters his servants, as she explained. And our hero realized that she had guessed. After all, it looks like it was true. It can't be because they are monsters, and it affects them so much. The next time the kids get hurt, he'll use it on them. It was a good idea that the director liked. In addition, Shu added that it is possible to go hunting on a different day than the one on which he harvested. After hearing this, she didn't understand why. The director demanded an explanation from our hero. He said that there was not enough food for Quinn and the puppies. The cubs have to eat meat every day, so they will need a lot of it. The director agreed with our hero, because he was saying the right things. But she thought it was too dangerous to hunt so much. Our hero tried to assure him that everything would be fine. When he saw the excitement on her face, he told her that he would take Quinn with him. Besides, if they encounter any danger, they will run away or be able to hide. In addition, he could also use loot boxes. Upon hearing this, the director was surprised again, trying to figure out if our hero had really told her everything. The young man added that since he had not seen anyone use it yet, he thought it would be nice to reveal it. Of course, she agreed. If she had known that such a useful thing was in the hands of this child, if she had just sent him into a large crowd, he might have taken some things, she reasoned out loud. When our hero heard this, he realized that it was scary, but he was glad that he kept it a secret. The director decided that from now on it was better to keep these things a secret because she often heard that the number of bad adventurers has been growing lately. Our hero admitted that he had also heard about it and that he had to make sure that children did not go outside without adults. Shu decided that he would tell Quinn and her family about it then. The director understood that he wanted to do this and agreed, realizing that he had received approval from the director. Our hero of the city exhaled, and from that moment on, he decided that he would hunt with madness. When he came to Queen Pai-chan and Miyu, he offered to go hunting tomorrow. Everyone was very happy, and our hero was also happy that they agreed. Then he saw that the puppies started barking too and realized that they wanted to go with them. The mother got up and, hearing that the puppies wanted to go with them, immediately barked at them, explaining that they would stay at home. The puppies looked sadly at their mother, who was trying to tell her something. But our hero realized that, as expected from their mother, she would try to protect them. The next moment, Pai-chan and Miyu decided that they would not lose. Quinn and our hero realized that their fighting spirit had flared up. The next day, they immediately headed for the Dragon Forest. They came faster than usual because our hero used healing magic while running. Those guys who attacked the queen and others may still be there. They had to go the other way so as not to meet them. After an hour on foot, it was decided that they would start looking for fruit trees during harvest from here. If there is a fruit tree, they use it as a starting point. They would start hunting from there, and then they could continue after they had hunted a little. Here our hero saw how each of his familiars brought some important things that were needed for the shelter. Then this time, they did not decide to start hunting from this tree, at which they stood as a starting point. Pai-chan will hunt birds, and he and Miyu will hunt rabbits and deer. But he needed to know what the queen could do. The queen explained that she would hunt alone, and then our hero asked her to be careful. And after she caught the prey, she had to wait here. After they found out who was supposed to do what, everyone was invited to start. The queen had level 16, so she'll be fine, our hero decided. Pai-chan caught 2 birds. They are with Miyu deer. The queen caught the deer herself. Everyone did a good job, and our hero praised them for it. And now they could get some rest. The queen laid down next to our hero, and he dozed off, right on top of her, simultaneously thinking that since the queen can catch a deer, it would be nice to hunt together. If they saw a deer next time, they should have hunted it together. They all agreed to be our hero. After they rested, they went to another place to start hunting again. Then the young man noticed a sign and stopped. The hare also said that there was clearly something there. Pai-chan has clearly found something, and our hero ran right after her. Then, looking out from behind the bushes, he realized that there was a boar in front of him, and it seemed to him that it was very bad. After all, a boar is a monster. He didn't know how far his telepathy could spread. But the queen had to come to their aid, because there was a monster here. He turned to her. The queen immediately came to the rescue, and our hero was a little surprised. Telepathy still worked even at a great distance. It was a good find. He decided to tell their plan and that he would dig a hole and Miyu would lure the fanged boar there. After the boar falls into the pit, he throws a net over it. So they had to start attacking him until he couldn't move. Miyu was next to them, but they didn't know how fast this boar was, so she had to be more careful. Our hero explained to her. She just smiled at the young man and, after listening to an attentive request, decided that she would cope. The next one was Pai-chan, whom the young man addressed, offering to monitor their surroundings. He agreed too, since they were all willing to work together. He suggested starting a hunt and being careful. All the animals rushed after our hero to hunt together. We approached the demonic fanged boar. Our hero determined its location. Pai-chan continued to observe from the air, and then Shu dug a hole in a wide place. This was the end of the preparation. Our heroes had to try to hunt this wild boar. Miyu went one and tried to distract him by dragging the boar with her. The next moment he fell, and they succeeded. Our hero decided that next was his job, and, throwing his nets, he tried to catch him. The next moment, when the boar was caught, everyone had to pounce on it and attack together. Miyu went first, but then flew away from him, and our hero, seeing this, hoped that she was okay. The next one was a she-wolf, who bit the boar so that she bit through its muzzle. Our hero understood that it was all unreliable, looking at the ropes that held him back. If they don't do anything, the net he threw will break. He tried to bury it with the help of earth magic, but because the boar is violent, everything collapses. If he didn't hurry up and get it over with, then things would be very bad. Shu explained to the two of them that when he gave the signal, they had to release the boar in front of them. The magic of the winds, which our hero learned earlier, wanted to use it on this boar. Up to this point, all his goals had been small. But now this demonic fanged boar was standing right in front of him, so he asked everyone to disperse. Using his strength on him, our hero was able to defeat this boar, and after a second he realized that they had succeeded, which he was very happy about. But immediately butchering him with a knife was too scary. I should have been careful, the young man thought, watching the carcass. To drain all the blood from the demonic fanged boar, the young man decided to hang it on a tree. Climbing a tree, he tied a rope around it and attached the other two ropes to its paws. But he realized that the boar was very heavy, and he could barely cope with it. He couldn't lift it down with physical strength, nor with wind magic. And then he decided to change his strategy. The rope binding the hind legs of the demonic fanged boar will be tied to a large tree branch, and a pit will be made for it. If you couldn't lift it, then it was better to lower it. What in fact our hero did. When he finished his work, he exhaled joyfully and, addressing the guys, told them that thanks to their help, they had succeeded. Of course, they were all very happy and supported our hero. Turning to Paichin and Miyu, our hero saw that the two of them had risen to level 10. In addition, Paichin learned intelligence and Miyu learned how to stab. They acted as usual. As soon as the skill is mastered, it will be enhanced and supplemented. Unfortunately, Quinn didn't get up, and that made him very sad. But our hero understood that everything was because, initially, she was at a much higher level. But there was good news for our hero, because he somehow managed to rise to level 2, which he was just happy to tears. And up to this point, he could not get up in any way, so it touched the young man very much. Shu decided that if he carried it back to the huge boar, then the guards and soldiers might suspect something, so he decided to put a box in his forehead, and next time he would have to go hunting with Cruz and the others to help him. It was necessary to hunt something smaller next time, as Shu suggested, because there was a lot of hassle with this boar. Stuffing it into a loot box, he explained to his familiars, and then he decided to ask Paichin and Quinn about their favorite meat. They told him, and our hero realized that they liked rabbit meat. And then Miyu answered as well. And our hero knew her preference, because she must have loved medicinal herbs, especially those filled with magical energy. Miyu of the city exhaled, showing with all her appearance that our hero correctly guessed her preference. When they rested for a while and finished with the boar, they decided to resume hunting. The result of one day of their hunting was 10 birds, 7 hares, 5 wild boars, 5 horned rabbits, 1 fanged demonic boar. They did a decent job. Most of them were put away in loot boxes. Only one carcass had to be disguised and returned with it in his hands. Our hero hoped that it wasn't hard for the guys to help them when they returned. The soldier, of course, was surprised, but let him into the city. And finally, our heroes were at home. There, his sister ran out to meet the young man, immediately wanted to see how Paichin was there, and she was worried about Miyu. And the wolves were waiting for their mother. All the girls were very happy about our heroes, as well as Cruz, who came to them, was very glad that the guys returned. They also decided to show today's catch. When everyone saw how much game they had caught, the director was amazed by it. Charles immediately decided that she would immediately take up the cutting. Our hero thanked them for their help. But if only Charles and the director were doing this, then it would be terribly difficult for the two of them, he decided. Then the director added that the guy had noticed correctly, and Cruz decided that they could help them. Iria added that they could not separate the carcasses in the forest, and then bring them back. Our hero's sister also wanted to do this for everyone. After hearing this, the young man decided that it really was a great idea. Then, addressing the director, our hero asked them to teach them how to properly carve the carcass and tan the skin. All the guys looked at the director enthusiastically, wanting to learn something new as soon as possible. Seeing how excited they were, of course, the director agreed. The director began to explain to them. At that moment, Our hero noticed that some guys were looking after them and explained that if they did not do the cutting, they would not be able to eat meat. After exchanging glances, the guys immediately decided to help our heroes while answering in unison. When he heard this, he was surprised, and the director was glad that someone else could help them with cutting meat. She asked them to listen to them all carefully, and everyone, of course, immediately sat around her listening to what she would tell. Our hero was very surprised what kind of guys were all responsive. Using all the captured rabbits and birds for training, the children learned everything to a certain extent. Our hero believed that, after all, with magic of this level, it is still difficult to manage large prey, something like a boar. And it would be nice if the butcher taught them how to butcher this time. Meanwhile, Charles-chan single-handedly finished butchering the deer after seeing the example of Shu alone secretly practicing it, marveling at how she always managed quickly. After they finished butchering, they cooked the food. It looked incredible, and tonight's dinner was quite sumptuous, and all the children were happy about it. Cruz saw the kebabs that were lying on the table and, picking up one of them, could not help but admire it. Even drool flowed from his mouth, so that he couldn't hold it back. Plus, of course, I would like to eat them all. But Iria explained that each had one skewer. It was also impossible for Cruz. Everyone had to get it. Of course, Cruz was very sad. But he knew he had to share it with the others. The guys just made fun of him, realizing that he would very much like to eat all this meat alone. The sister, looking at her brother, was so happy and noticed that it all looked very tasty, hoping that my brother felt the same way. Of course, our hero was also glad that he could share this food with everyone. And when he saw that his sister was as happy as he was, he just smiled back at her, confirming her words. So ended this difficult day for all our heroes, and from now on, they decided to try to hunt with the same success. Today, all our heroes went hunting together. Shu, at the head of all, watched Pai-chan, who was supposed to find a fruit tree for them according to his instructions, and Pai, agreeing, immediately flew away. Less than a minute later, Pai-chan returned, and our hero was very surprised that he found it so quickly. They decided to follow the place where Pai-chan had taken them. Everything was fine, as Cruz decided. Then he and Shu will go to get some fruit. Iria-chan and the baby will be close by under the supervision of Mew. Pai-chan will hunt birds, and Quinn can hunt as much as he wants. Having decided so, they all went about their business. Getting down to business, Cruz climbed a tree and helped our hero get apples. The girls were doing herbs, and Pai-chan was hunting with Cruz. When Quinn found the prey, our hero had to bleed it out. After working together, they decided to take a little break. There was a soup with wild vegetables and poultry in front of them. Having sat down on the edge of the forest and cooked this soup, the guys wished each other a pleasant appetite, after which they began to enjoy their lunch. This bone bird broth turned out to be just incredible, and our hero was very happy that he could share this food with his friends. After that, they continued to hunt, and our hero decided that it was necessary to move forward. At that moment, he was distracted by Pai-chan. The young man realized that he had found something. Following his friend, our hero came to the wild boar again. Looking at it from behind the bushes, the young man concluded that it was also a fanged boar, but smaller than the one they had caught yesterday. Thinking about it, our hero realized that even if they fail him, they will not be able to take him with them in any way. But then she came up with an idea. Maybe after yesterday he became a little stronger and could do it. Turning to Cruz, our hero hoped that he would give him an answer, explaining that a fanged boar was nearby. They had to do something. Upon hearing that the boar was nearby, naturally, Cruz was fired up with the idea of catching it, and it was necessary to go after it. Iria, who was standing next to him, did not understand why Cruz naturally wanted to run after him. She didn't know if they could handle him or not. Our hero assured her that he had succeeded yesterday, and Cruz praised him. Shu then explained that he had hidden it in a loot box. Shu also added that they will be able to raise their levels if they cooperate. I also thought it would be great if they could carry it themselves. Iria understood everything. Cruz, who was standing next to her, also added that it sounded incredible. He liked this plan. Cruz also decided that, even if they couldn't carry him, they would just put him in a loot box, so they went hunting for this boar. Hearing that Cruz was so enthusiastic, Iria just sighed heavily. Our hero's sister was surprised. He also followed the enthusiastic Cruz and rejoiced with him. If the three of them pinned him to the ground, our hero knew that he would be able to attack him calmly. Therefore, turning to his familiars, he asked for their help. Mai was next to him, and our hero asked her to go first. Then Mayu began to distract the boar, and our hero, watching this, realized that she was on a roll today. It's probably for the sake of changing the level. The boar was caught, and, addressing the guys, our hero offered to end it, and it was necessary to beat this boar with all his might. Upon hearing this, Cruz asked to be the first. Running up to the boar, he hit it as hard as he could. But at that moment something happened as our hero noticed. Cruz explained that his skin was thick. He thought he couldn't do better, saying that he hadn't completely injured the boar. Then our hero suggested that Iria and his sister attack in the eyes. The girls thought it was a great idea. Together, they attacked him, and turning to Quinn, he decided that now it was her turn. Quinn was able to attack the boar right in the face. Together, they struck at him. The last one was Mew, and she struck such a blow that our hero was even surprised. She didn't make it through the evening, but this time, she would have been incredible. When she heard that she was praised, she was very happy. But then our hero noticed that Mai couldn't get out in any way, and it turned out that she was stuck again. After everyone attacked, Shu knocked out the boar with an aerial slash. The magic was just amazing, as Cruz noted, and everyone praised each other because they all did their best. And they noticed that our hero must have needed help. But the young man, rubbing his head, explained a little embarrassedly that they all needed to get stronger, so everyone needed help. After that, they decided that it was necessary to bleed. When they began to pull the boar out of the pit, it was certainly very difficult for them to do so. The sister looked at it and realized that something had happened, and it was thought that it was just amazing. Our hero, hearing the sound, also realized that maybe they had all raised the level, and Cruz was very reactionary. Finally reached level 10, and Iria was also at level 10. Our hero's sister did not lag behind them. The young men decided that then Iria and Cruz should have carried him together, because they should have succeeded, Cruz noted. Iria also decided that they should have done it intermittently. The young man's sister also explained that she could help them to make it easier for the guys. Cruz then noticed that the girl could carry fruit, and she agreed. So, having tied up the boar together, they went to the city. The effect of the level increase was unimaginable. Cruz and Iria together were able to carry the huge carcass to such an extent that everyone in the city was surprised by it. The sister also seemed to our hero more carefree than usual. She carried the apples on her back and reread how easy it was, smiling at the young men. Their height was simply amazing. They even seemed to shine. Our hero, looking at his friends, thought that he also really wanted to reach level 10. But so far, he couldn't do it. So he just enjoyed how happy his friends were. When the guard saw the guys, he was very surprised that this time they were hunting for a fanged boar. They were able to get rid of him, believing that now they were definitely real hunters. After hearing the praise from the guardian, our hero's sister was very surprised. The same one decided that they could earn money by selling carcasses, fur, and meat. Cruz noticed that they were not going to sell meat, and our hero's sister noticed it correctly. Upon hearing this, the guardian was a little surprised, but decided that in any case it was for the shelter, and understood that the guys were doing it for the benefit of others. They all confirmed his guess, smiling at the guard. The guardian was surprised that our hero would be able to skin him himself. It looked a little difficult, but they thought to ask the butcher for help. Then the guardian decided that he could help our hero's skin. After all, it was part of their job. They were good at this, and that's why he asked to leave it to him. Of course, our hero gladly agreed that he was ready to help them. After that, they went to the shelter, were able to bring several huge pieces of meat, showing them to the director. They also decided that they would be able to dry it and eat it the way it is. And all this was thanks to the work of Shu's friends. Because of them, they could continue to hunt and gather together. Pai-chan's abilities helped them find prey and fruit trees. Quinn and Mu are also good at hunting and searching for medicinal plants. And as the variety of their victims increased, so did the number of skins they could collect. Also, our heroes got acquainted with many types of insect monsters, since they have no value for them. They did not even touch them. However, their shells are used as armor, so our hero took them with him. When he dealt with one of the monsters, he realized that it looked like crab meat, but there was absolutely none in it, which was very depressing for our hero. But after so many days full of hunting, he finally reached level 10 and was extremely happy about it. After all, everyone else had already reached it long ago, and our hero remained behind everyone, and it always made him very sad. Therefore, the young man was most happy, and today they were supposed to explore new hunting grounds with friends. Therefore, it was decided to move along the river. Moving forward, our hero thought that they had come back to the same place where they had just been. Pa-chan flew up to the guys, and then the young man decided to make sure if they were walking in a circle. Looking at Queen and Mai, our hero found it strange, because they had to move smoothly forward and they decided to walk the same way again. But they came back to the same place from where they started their journey. Shu decided that it looked like they were constantly turning around in some place and coming to the place where they started from. Thanks to Pajin, they found this very place, and now our hero realized that it was here. He could feel the concentrated magic somewhere above. While Pajin was showing them the way from above, they slowly got close enough to take advantage of the magical detection. It turned out that there was so much magic concentrated that it was the size of an orphanage and had the shape of a dome. It looked like an ordinary forest, but he wondered why he couldn't enter it. Therefore, taking the stone, our hero decided to check how safe it is there. Throwing the stone forward, at that very second he saw that the stone had disappeared and was very surprised, trying to figure out what was going on here. Looking ahead, our hero decided that it could be dangerous there. But at that moment, Mai ran forward, and then she disappeared. Our hero understood that she was missing. But then her head suddenly appeared, and, despite it, Shu did not understand if she was okay. After all, he believed that it was wrong to behave like that. It was completely unsafe. Well, the young man immediately thought that since Mi was able to return, then it was possible to enter there. And swallowing, our hero decided that then they could all go together. He was a little worried, but decided to overcome his fear and went forward with his friends. As he passed by, he thought that it still looked like a forest. But when he turned around, he saw a house in front of him and did not understand where it came from. After all, he used magical detection and discovered many creatures around the house. At that very second, Mi ran away from him, and our hero asked her to come back. But he noticed that it was as if someone was sitting behind a tree, and when he ran closer, he saw a girl in front of him, which made our hero very confused, as did the stranger herself, who clearly did not expect to see anyone in this place. When she saw a stranger in the face of our hero, the girl was scared and tried to figure out who our hero was. Of course, the young man immediately decided to introduce himself so as not to scare the girl anymore, and gave his name, explaining that his name was Shu, and then pointing to the hair that was next to him, jumping with hair that was next to him, jumping with happiness. He imagined how Mai, and then Paichin appeared next to him, as well as Quinn. Seeing that there were so many animals next to our hero, the girl was very scared and even embarrassed, so the young man had to apologize for scaring them. After all, these guys he was pointing at just want to introduce themselves. Then the girl gathered herself and told me that her name was Sakuya. She was a little embarrassed and tried not to look at our hero. Then the same one, not realizing this, began to be interested, pushing at the girl and realizing that her name was Sakuya, and apparently she lived here. The girl said that it was so. She lived here with her grandparents. Just at that moment, one of them appeared behind our hero. Grandfather, seeing the young man, tried to understand what was going on here and did not understand what kind of boy he was. Looking at him very maliciously, our hero felt some kind of insane pressure coming from this man and turning around in horror. The young man introduced himself as Shu and also introduced Mew, Queen, and Paichan. Then Grandpa decided that our hero was a Tamer, and this was rare, but he did not understand how they got here. After all, he had set up a barrier so that they could not pass by him, and our hero now realized that the man was referring to the dome that he had discovered. Therefore, Shu said that he simply found his barrier with the help of magic detection and passed through it. Realizing that the young man was talking about magical detection, Grandfather noticed that it was very good for a person, and our hero was trying to figure out what his last words meant when he was talking about a man and who the old man was right in front of him. Therefore, he decided to use the assessment. When our hero looked at his chart, he realized that this man was a wind dragon. But our hero did not understand at all what this meant, realizing that the boy was looking at him. The old man did not understand why he was so surprised. And when the young man looked at Sakyo, he realized that she was also a wind dragon. At that moment, the old man realized that the young man had used appraisal magic. Our hero, a little scared, explained that it was so and decided to tell about their appearance. Then, the old man said that the young man should not have worried about it. They left the dragon village and lived here peacefully. When our hero heard about this, he did not understand what the man meant that he should not have worried. After all, they were dragons, as far as he guessed. The old man was interested to find out what our heroes were doing here, because this was not a safe territory. And then Shu told me that she was hunting. When the old man heard that the child was hunting alone, he did not understand whether he was joking about him or not. What the young man meant was that he wasn't completely alone. And then the old man added that if he was talking about his friends, it was like being alone. Then he added that since there was nothing to be done, he would have to hunt. Hearing this, the young man was surprised, and the old man asked him to keep Sakyuan company for now. Everyone else had to go with him. Turning to Paichin, Mu, and Quinn, he asked them to help him. The guys were all scared and looked at our hero. The same one asked them to go with this man, and there was nothing to do. They left with him, leaving our hero with the girl. Sakawa was very surprised that Grandpa was leaving, and at that very second, her grandmother appeared behind them. Turning around, our hero saw a woman in front of him, and a grandmother who thought Sakawa was very cute. Stroking the girl's head, and then she offered to drink tea with them. Our hero, hearing that he had been given such a pleasant offer, agreed and went into the house. When they entered the house, he was surprised at how spacious it was, but from the outside it seemed much smaller to him. Of course, the woman noticed that our hero was very surprised by this. She said that she uses spatial magic to change the size of the house. Now our hero realized that all this was the work of magic. At that moment, she asked him to sit down and wait while she made tea. Our hero sat down, and the silence between them increased. The young man realized that, probably, the girl did not trust him, and therefore he decided to speak first. Therefore, he was very interested to find out what she usually does here. After a short silence, the girl explained what she was reading. Then our hero was inspired, realizing that the girl probably had books. And then he realized that he had embarrassed her with his pressure and apologized. After all, they were so poor that they didn't have any. Hearing about this, the girl was very surprised. Then our hero began to find out what books she liked, and the girl told that she loves all sorts of stories or books of spells, having heard that there are such books. Of course, our hero was very interested. He thought it was incredible, and he was very interested if he could read it. But the girl did not know the answer to this question. At that very moment, the tea boiled, and the woman decided to put mugs next to them. She also noticed that, apparently, the guys had already got along, and was grateful that the young man was very kind to Sakura, because she usually only communicates with her grandmother and grandfather. Our hero explained that he would be happy to talk to her, and then the woman decided to ask our hero. The first thing she asked, of course, was where the young man was from. And he told me that he was from the city and where he lived now. After listening to his story, she understood that it was very hard for them, and looked at the boy sadly. But he said that he had a family, and it was a lot of fun. But he was very interested to find out why they lived in such a place, saying that they lived under a dome in the forest. The woman said that it was just a whim of her grandfather. At first, he always liked to travel. But before that, they always returned back to the dragon village. But he got very bored, so they left the village and settled here. After all, he had told her that from that day on they would live here when he first showed them this house, which of course surprised her. She also added that Sakawa was always a little close and did not fit into the company of other children, even suffered from their bullying. That's why she came here with them, and so they lived together in this house. The woman also added that her parents were fine, and so that they could continue to live in peace and tranquility, away from monsters and people. Grandfather created a magical barrier. Now it became clear to our hero why it was so. At that moment, he heard a familiar barking and realized that they seemed to have returned at that very moment. When he looked out from behind the door, he wanted to rejoice at their return. Shu was surprised by the picture that appeared in front of him. Looking out from behind the door, our hero saw an old man who came along with all his friends. And there were several huge carcasses lying next to them, and the young man certainly did not expect to see so much prey. His exhausted friends were lying next to the old man, because the hunt was clearly a success, since they managed to catch so much game. Our hero's sister always woke up before everyone else at the shelter, but she quickly begins to get bored alone, and so she starts waking up our hero by sneaking into his room and tapping him in the face. Of course, because of her actions, our hero has to get up. She will be his first. Realizing that he will not be able to sleep much, our hero gives in to his sister and gets up. And after breakfast, his sister, of course, immediately wants to play hide and seek and hopes to find someone who can. But at the same moment, Charles Chan interrupts her, grabbing her finger and explaining that today, the girl had to do the laundry, as if to remind her of this. When our hero's sister hears about this, of course, she immediately gets upset, realizing that she forgot it. And following Charles Chan, she explained that her older brother was supposed to do the laundry today, as far as she remembered, but left. I explained to her that he had gone hunting, so there was nothing to do here, so his sister would have to help her and the rest of the guys. She is a little hyperactive during games, so after washing and after she has rested, she starts playing with the rest of the guys. But in a fit, she touches some vase in the house, and she immediately breaks, from which his sister looks at it in horror and tries to figure out what she needs to do. But it is not possible to find a solution so quickly. The director already hears this. The director understands that something happened, explaining that it was time for the guys to stop, and wanted to find the culprit. Of course, our hero's sister understands that something had to be thought up, and explains that it was an invisible monster. But she's not good at lying, and the director doesn't understand if there are such things at all. Looking at the girl, our hero, by the time he returns, immediately hears the stomping and screaming of his sister, because she is waiting for his return the most, and tells him about what happened. First it was like this, and then this. And our hero, tired, has to listen to her stories. Then the sister explains that she actually behaved well even in the absence of her brother. The guys are standing nearby and laughing at her. Our hero can only agree with his sister, patting her on the head and praising her. Of course, the girl likes it very much, and she asks to praise her brother even more. He agrees with her, and at the end of the day, he has to praise a lot. After looking at the monsters that the old man and his friends killed, our hero realized that he had never seen monsters of a higher rank. Wyverns are lower-class dragons. It turns out that they were of the same race, as he guessed by looking at one of them. Although the Mew also hunted rabbits a lot, but for our hero it was very strange. Grandma, looking at her husband, decided that he had done a good job, and the same one proudly explained that it was a gift to the boy. So they were very well adjusted. Hearing that it was a gift to our hero, of course, the young man was very surprised. Not expecting this, the old man explained that this was indeed the case. After all, he said that he went to catch something for our hero. The young man tried to stop him, because he couldn't accept all these top-class monsters. He decided that it would be too suspicious, but the old man explained that then it was necessary to skin them, and he would take them with him, or rather only their meat. And he thought that was how it was supposed to go. He could have used his loot box to do that, and our hero explained that he couldn't do that. He can't skin giant monsters. The old man did not understand why our hero said that he could not do this, and would not. But there was no choice, and he decided that he would show how it was all done. Our hero, of course, was very surprised that the man knows how to do it. The old man explained that he had learned this from people many years ago, while traveling to the city, explaining it to our hero. His wife explained that he was so bored that he occupied his hands as much as he could. But his wife then tried to practice alchemy and potions, as he reminded her, and also began to sentence. And our hero thought that they were very similar, watching this picture. But of course, he did not speak out loud from it. So when they went back to the lawn next to the house and looked at the carcasses that lay right in front of them, the old man decided that they could start using their magic. He showed our hero exactly how to bleed the wyvern and do all the things he told him to do. The guy, looking at this, was very surprised. He thought it looked amazing, because the old man drained his wyvern in a matter of moments. Then, turning to the young man, after he had finished, the old man told him that he would do the same to the others, while the young man had to skin off the skins. All that remained for our hero was just to agree. Looking at one of the monsters, he realized that he looked like a boar and began to doubt his abilities, thinking that perhaps it could not fail to peel the skin off this huge monster. When he started doing this, our hero realized that she was very strong. He can't pierce his skin with a dagger, no matter how hard he tries. The old man, paying attention to our hero, did not understand what was happening, whether he was taking off his skin or not. To which the young man explained that he couldn't do it at all with this cheap knife. The old man was surprised again. Even if it was a cheap knife, he offered to fill this knife with magic, and then everything should have worked out. But the young man did not understand what he was talking about. Then the old man was surprised again that our hero did not know this, and he probably realized that his teacher hadn't told him about it. To which the young man explained that he was self-taught and did not have a teacher. Then the man was even more surprised that the young man studied magic himself, realizing that he probably didn't even know how to nourish his body. But the young man explained that he knew, but just in his own style. Of course, this simplified the matter, but the old man explained that in order to fill the creature, he needed to pass magic through the whole body. But if it comes to an object, you just need to cover them with magic. After hearing that he had to cover them with magic, our hero decided to practice, showing the old man what he understood from this. Looking at how everything turned out for the young man, the old man explained that the boy actually already knows how to do everything. He added that this would make the object sharper and could protect his body in this way. Upon hearing this, our hero, of course, was surprised that the use of magic could still be like that. Looking at his knife in his hands, he decided that now it was possible to try again. And when he began to skin the carcass, he was very surprised that he was doing well. The old man praised our hero, considering that it was a great job. However, this is just a filling. It all depends on how sharp the object was initially. So this monster is probably the maximum he can cut with this knife. Now our hero has understood everything. If you could cut anything like that, you would need so many strong weapons. And then our hero decided that he would need to find a new blade, to which the old man suggested that he make this blade himself. Hearing this, of course, our hero was surprised again, not understanding what the old man was talking about at all. And then he decided that he would teach our hero this too, to which our hero was again very surprised. And then he invited Sakya to join too. Sakya, of course, did not want to do this, and our hero did not understand why someone suddenly wanted to learn blacksmithing. Upon hearing this, the old man was a little surprised and disappointed, but he came up with something new. He decided that he would teach our hero magic, and then Sakuyu, who hoped that the girl was thinking well about magic. The girl explained that she would like to learn how to do magic, and then Grandpa, delighted that Sakue wanted to learn, decided that he would do it for her. Our hero is watching all this. As it seemed to him, the tone of the grandfather has changed a little. The same one, addressing our hero like boys, explained that from tomorrow he would start teaching him. At that moment, it sparkled so brightly that the young man was surprised, explaining that tomorrow he could not. He can hunt every 2 days. Well, you need to have time to hunt directly too. Then a surprised old man decided that he just continued to catch the victims. Having heard this, of course, our hero did not understand at all what he was talking about. The old man continued to talk about how he would teach him a lot next time. So he couldn't wait for it. Our hero couldn't figure out how it all happened. So, he probably met his teacher, the young man realized, and then, stopping himself, explained that this was his grandfather, and he was waiting for this, because he would probably be with Sakuya. But rejecting these thoughts, then they finished and he went to the animals, decided to put it all in loot boxes. After taking a little break, sitting down at the table, rejoiced at the food that the woman made. Our hero, addressing his grandmother, told her that it was very tasty. She thanked me for this compliment, and our hero explained that it was really very tasty. He was trying to figure out where she had bought this bread that he had just eaten. The woman explained that she baked this bread herself. Darling is bought with wheat on the farm. After hearing about the farm, our hero became interested in being told some details. And then she explained that he wasn't exactly buying, but rather trading for his services as a monster hunter around the farm. And now our hero understood what kind of exchange she was referring to. Our hero, of course, was sure that the people from the farm were grateful that there were much fewer monsters. Now everything became clear to him, and he sent thanks to accept some fruits, taking them out of the loot boxes. The woman thanked the young man for wanting to thank them in turn. After all, she explained that Grandpa rarely brought them sweets, and therefore it was possible to eat them right away. Hearing this, the old man, of course, was not very pleased. But there was nothing left. When the woman cut the apples, they began to eat them all. Sakuya, after tasting the apple, was surprised how delicious it was. And the woman also added that they were so sweet and appetizing. Our hero was very happy to hear this, looking at how everyone admires the fruits that they picked together with his friends. Then Sakuya, addressing her grandmother, explained that she wanted more, but the woman told her that it was the last one. The girl was a little upset, and then our hero, of course, did not know what else to say. The next moment, seeing how the old man was looking at him, our hero decided that he should have offered her more. When she saw that she was being offered an apple, the girl was delighted and her grandmother apologized for her. Meanwhile, Grandpa proudly exhaled that the boy had decided to offer more. After they had all tasted the food, our hero decided that they should have gone back already. And then, saying goodbye to Grandma, Grandpa, and the girl Sakuya, they asked to come to them again, as the woman believed. And the man decided that next time they would do magic. After looking at Sakuya, who was a little embarrassed, she just said goodbye to our hero. He said goodbye to her in return and smiled at the girl. He promised that they would see each other again. She was a little embarrassed and was glad that they could meet again. And then she hugged the animals that were with our hero and wished them a speedy meeting. Our hero, watching this picture and his grandfather, decided that this look scares him very much. That's how their meeting went. Our hero needed to go back. When our hero returned back to the shelter, he showed a huge mountain of meat that he had hidden in a loot box. Seeing this amount of meat, the director, looking at him, was very surprised, not understanding how the child managed to get such an amount of meat for the entire orphanage. The young man decided that he could not tell her that he had inherited it from Grandfather Winddragon, and therefore, he urgently needed to come up with something. And our hero decided to tell us that these were all fanged bulls. They took down a whole pack and skinned them. After looking at this meat again, the director decided that even if it was true, there was a lot of meat here. She couldn't figure out what to do with him. Our hero decided that if she didn't know what she was doing to him, he offered her to dry him under his skin and sell him to everyone. The guys also agreed with this idea. The next time our hero decided to go back to the forest and go back to his grandparents under the dome, he was greeted by a huge number of carcasses. After seeing this, our hero believed that it was even more than the last time, and he explained that he couldn't bring that much food. Hearing this, the grandfather only turned away and pretended that he had not heard anything. Grandma, approaching our hero, explained that he was so vain. That's because Sakuya cheers him up and praises him when he hunts a lot. After all, the granddaughter always talked about the girl, about how incredible he was. And this encouraged him to catch even more game for our hero. The young man thought that his grandfather was very strange to be led to such tricks. He came to them very often. Both his grandfather and grandmother taught him many things, and he was so looking forward to magic lessons. But every time he came, Grandpa explained it to him in very strange ways. For example, that he had to do shu, few, and then like this, after which everything should have turned out. And our hero, according to his explanations, did not understand anything at all. Grandpa relies on his intuition, so his explanation was very difficult to understand. And then even Sakuya, turning to her grandmother and crying, explained that she no longer wanted to study with her grandfather. The woman, looking at Sakuya and her husband, of course, did not know what to answer. But in the end, she decided that she could teach them. And in the end, she decided that she could teach them. And in the end, they were both taught by their grandmother. So, a month later, the cubs were ready to go hunting with them. They have already grown up significantly, and our hero brought them with him to his grandmother, grandfather, and Sakuya. Sakuya, seeing the young man with 3 wolves, was very happy. They also surrounded the girl, and she began to make out with them. Looking at how Sakuya was having fun with wolves, Grandpa was almost speechless, and our hero understood that he was just burning with jealousy. Such a number of wolves could even pull a cart in a team, as he explained. Our hero, thinking about the team, did not understand what the old man meant. But he understood that they were like dogs, and maybe it was a good idea, but there were no carts in the shelter. To which the grandfather explained again that our hero could do it, and he would teach him how to work on wood. Upon hearing this, our hero realized that he was back at it. But he decided that if it was just a cart, then he could do it, and turning to his grandfather, he asked him to teach him. Of course, he was very proud of himself, and, exhaling heavily, explained that it turned out that he had no choice, and the woman, addressing our hero, explained that she would teach him how to work on leather. Sakuya, getting into the conversation, wanted to help too. Our hero, hearing that even the girl was ready to help him, was very happy and thanked them all for their help. He learned a lot, and after they did some work, our hero was invited to sit down at the table, looking at the dishes that stood in front of him. The young man was surprised, and his grandfather, bursting into tears, explained that Sakuya had cooked it all herself. Our hero saw that the girl had even prepared food for the others. They were standing by their bowls and were also very surprised. And it was really like that. She had heard that the young man was hunting for food for Quinn and her cubs, and the girl really wanted to help. She thought she could do something for them herself. Our hero, seeing how embarrassed she was and wanted to help, was also a little embarrassed, but then decided to thank her because he was very glad of her help. The girl, having heard the word of gratitude, was also glad. So they all began to eat together. It was all very tasty. Grandpa, while eating Sakuya's cooking, thought it was just fine, and tears were pouring out of his eyes. He couldn't contain his feelings in any way. After a few months, the number of Shu's companions began to increase. It all started when Grandpa saw Sakuya happily playing with his friends, so he decided to catch more and more monsters. The first was a grizzly bear, and when he brought it, he offered to look at this bear. Grandma asked to return it, and Sakuya was also scared, but no one, including Grandpa, could tame him. The next one was the forest wolf. This time, Grandpa put him to sleep with magic. The old man wanted our hero to cast a spell on his body, but even after many attempts, the charms did not want to work properly. And it worked out with Quinn, but she was injured, as far as our hero recalled. But he thought it was impossible. And then there was a three-horned rabbit, but he was just a baby. This was indeed the case because our hero tamed an animal of this kind, which means that this time it should have worked out, and our hero decided to try to do it. Sakuya helped the young man, and while he was trying to tame the rabbit, she held it in her hands. After that, everything went well, and Grandpa was very happy. But so far, our hero did not really understand what conditions were needed for taming, stroking his new friend. But I decided that everything was fine and I could test it a few more times to find out the conditions. So he was able to tame the snake and it was a success. Nothing happened with the boar. Then Grandpa offered to try our hero on it. Upon hearing this suggestion, the young man was very surprised. It turned out that he could only tame those animals that he could really defeat, or stronger monsters. But if they are weakened by a wound, for example. So another horned rabbit, an owl, a venomous snake, a blue tiger, a wooden monkey, and a silver squirrel became his companions. Our hero, looking at the number, decided that he overdid it. Sakuya was happy to say that she would help our hero take care of them. They have even more companions. He was learning how to fill a knife with magic and use it. They also had plenty of meat all the time. Our hero did not understand at all whether it was possible. I probably should have told the owner of the shelter about this. He would also be interested to know why Grandpa is hiding from people. But the man explained that he had no reason to hide from people. But our hero thought that it was worth telling the owner of the shelter about all this, because she took great care of them. So Shu wondered if he would reveal some of his secret, because the old man lives behind the barrier for a reason. Upon hearing this, the old man explained that, as he understood it, he was replacing his parents. And then Shu should have told him. Maybe he could call an old hunter, a former traveler living near the dragon forest. Our hero realized that it was simply impossible to say anything about wind dragons, and this was the only condition. The real essence of the barrier cannot be recognized unless you have the skill of definition, like our hero. Usually he is not even noticed, and the young man realized that this was so. So he went to the orphanage and, of course, told the director everything. Upon hearing this, the director realized that, in other words, the meat he was bringing was actually given to him by a certain hunter in the dragon forest. The young man explained that it was so. But the woman did not understand why he was silent about such important things, and our hero started apologizing to her. Shu explained that he was silent, because at first it was just a matter of meat. You could say they helped him, because he hunted with his companions. The director asked me to continue my story, and our hero apologized. Then the woman did not understand whether he would help them all. Our hero explained that it was a difficult question. In other words, I was lucky to find new friends, 3 of whom turned out to be magical animals. However, the woman decided that they should have met them at least once and thanked them. Meanwhile, Cruz was trying to figure out how it happened that they went to the forest without him. But our hero's sister asked not to ask questions while they were discussing it. Our hero knew that the director probably couldn't go to the Dragon Forest, and she explained that this was exactly the case. Then, our hero told us that they visit the city. Maybe then they could drop in on them sometime. They would have to travel such a long way, of course, but it was all right. The old man could handle it. After hearing that our hero told about it, the old man realized that they were going to the orphanage. The young man explained that the director of the shelter wanted to thank him directly, so he hoped that they would be able to meet with her. The old man explained to him that they didn't care. Then they would take Sakura with them. And when he also heard that Sakura would go with them, our hero was surprised. The old man explained that it seemed to him that this was a great opportunity to visit the human village at least once. Our hero was glad to see them off. Well, he had to prepare. He had to bring the prey, because the old man was still a hunter, so it was necessary to make a cart and get down to business. Our hero was glad that they would finally make a cart, pointing to the firewood that lay nearby. The old man explained that the wood should have dried by now, so they could use it. These were specially prepared logs for woodwork, and they could start. The old man cast a spell on the firewood. This is magic for a beginner, so our hero could practice, and it seems they can be used for repairs in the shelter. Looking at the firewood, he decided that nothing would leak during the rain. And a few hours later, our heroes finally finished the cart. A cart was provided for everyone's attention. So tomorrow, they will go hunting. The day after tomorrow, the family will go to the shelter, because it should have been okay if they stayed there for a while. The old man explained that everything was fine. He would try his best tomorrow on the hunt, but it was not worth hunting for all sorts of strange things that are hard to even fill up, our hero asked. The old man pretended that he understood everything and reminded our hero that Shu was going to make it home before nightfall. Our hero thought that the old man probably misunderstood him, but there was nothing to do. This is how the shelter began preparing for the arrival of guests. Charles-chan is full of enthusiasm while cooking dishes. All the children tried their best during the cleaning, inspired by gratitude to the one who gave them meat. And now this day has come, as our hero actually expected. The old man brought down a bunch of strange beasts. Looking at them, he did not understand what it was. The old man explained that it was obvious that he had brought a couple of monsters. Our hero explained to him that it was necessary to hunt all sorts of scary things, but the old man did not understand what was scary here. They can make good money from such high-ranked monsters. Of course, our hero understood that he could sell them, but how to carry them? He didn't know how, but the man explained that they couldn't pull them on a cart, and then I thought that he couldn't have gone the way our hero explained. The old man believed that if our hero helped with his magic, then they could do it. But Shu immediately explained that then the cart would stand up. He suggested that they stop this conversation and focus on the ordinary animals they had caught before. To which the old man explained that these monsters could surprise people, and our hero did not understand why he needed it. The same one explained that Sakura was so glad that he defeated these high-ranked monsters, and she said that Grandpa was incredible. Our hero thought that the old man was mocking him, because he was really strange. The woman asked to forgive her husband, and after all, he was such a fool that when he heard that he was called that, of course, the old man was horrified, and our hero is already used to it. At that moment, Sakio appeared next to her and greeted our hero. He was very happy too. Grandma hoped that she could help in some way. And meanwhile, Grandpa was lamenting what a cutie his granddaughter was today. Then our hero asked to tie them all, giving them red scarves. Grandpa thought it looked very cute. Sakura realized that it was like Quinn's, and our hero explained that they should be worn in the city. This is the uniform of the shelter employees. He asked Sakura to do it, and the girl agreed. The next moment, all the animals were wearing red bandages, and so they all seemed to fit in. Quinn had to come up to our hero to hitch her into the cart. It seemed to him that it was a little hard, but he asked Quinn to take care of herself and wished her a good journey. Everyone was ready. They were going to the orphanage. Grandpa and Grandma looked at Sakura, who was sitting in the cart, and Grandpa was worried about how she felt there. But it was quite good for her. Our hero, watching this, now realized that it was like a huge family, and did not understand how it all turned out that way. Our hero was stopped by a soldier, surprised by the number of monsters, and the young man explained that there were more employees. Plus, Sakuyaya and her family also moved with him to meet with the director from his orphanage. Of course, the guard explained that he understood everything after seeing such a crowd. but he needed to check the identity card of the wanderers who were walking with him. Then the old man gave the guard a merchant guild certificate confirming that they were adventurers. Our hero, of course, heard about such a certificate for the first time. Shu was surprised that the old man was able to navigate this situation so quickly. The guard himself, when he saw this certificate, could not believe his eyes. Our hero also did not understand what had happened, looking at his face, as did the old man himself, who gave it to him. Then the guard was very surprised that the grandfather in front of him was a rank 3 adventurer, and the grandmother had a silver merchant class. Our hero was surprised if it was really that cool. It was really like that. Both are very high level, as the guardian explained. Of course, the young man could not believe it, and Grandpa, only laughing, explained that it was just incredible. After hearing this, our hero did not understand in what sense it was really as incredible as he thought. The guard explained that in this case, no tax was required from them. And then our heroes entered Frey, the first human city for Sakuya. Of course, the girl, entering it, looked at the streets with fascination and was very inspired. They moved through the crowded streets, and many people looked at them carefully. Our hero explained that the number of bad adventurers had increased recently, so they all had to be very careful. Then the old man explained that, most likely, it was the type of guy he noticed. Our hero explained that it looked like the old man and the others were attracting a lot of attention. But upon hearing this, the old man asked Sakuya to be careful, and the girl agreed with him. Looking at his grandmother, the old man noticed that she seemed to be fine, to which the woman did not understand what the old one meant. There shouldn't be anyone familiar here. If there was someone, he would still be stronger. Grandma didn't understand what he was saying. Our hero asked them not to quarrel. Sakuya-chan was scared and was already standing next to him. Grandma apologized to the guys for starting to sort things out in front of everyone, and Grandpa, too, followed her example and did the same. Our hero, looking at them, still could not help but be surprised at how much these two were similar. And then he pointed ahead, explaining that the shelter was right in front of them. His little sister and everyone else were already running to meet him. Our hero, bringing his friends, asked them to get acquainted, because they were the same hunters, grandfather, grandmother, and Sakuya-chan. The director and Charles, bowing to their new guests, got to know them. They were very pleased, and they thanked them for taking care of Shu. And now he will have a new partner, Sakuya, and thanks to this boy, he felt the taste of life again. They were ready for dinner, and everyone relied on them. Shu will take care of Quinn and the others, and then he will join them. His little sister came to our hero, seeing the girl who was next to him. She was very interested in finding out who she was, and the most important thing was to find out what her name was. The girl introduced herself as Sakuya, and then our hero's sister became very interested in whether the girl lived in the forest. Our hero understood that his sister was very curious, that Sakuya was probably confused. Sakuya only answered honestly that she really lived in the forest. Meanwhile, the table was set, and after everyone had dined, the old man was wondering what the guys would do next. At that moment, our hero's sister hoped that sakuchin was delicious, and the hero explained that they would go to sell the skins. The sister, of course, wanted to go with the young man, to which he was very surprised. She could play with Sakuya. When she heard this, the girl was so surprised that at first she did not know how to react, and then, turning to Sakuya, immediately invited her to go play, hugging the girl and not letting her go. While everyone else was watching the guys closely, our hero went to the Adventurers Guild and, turning to Queen, he asked to keep an eye on everything. She agreed. Meanwhile, the old man who went with him explained that he had already seen the place for sale, and there they were greeted by a man. The man saw that the guys had apparently brought fur. After greeting him, our hero put the carcass in front of him. The man saw in front of him a snow deer, a grizzly bear killer, and other rare animals that lay in front of him, which the man was very surprised that they were hunting. The old man exhaled proudly. Our hero just looked at the astonished man in surprise. Everything was in excellent condition, and, dumping out a bag of money, he hoped that the guys would get away with the amount he offered. Our hero, seeing such a number of coins, could not believe his luck. There was a mountain of gold in front of the young man. The old man, as if nothing had happened, decided that it would be great to receive such a reward for their loot. Our hero, shaking with excitement and surprise, did not understand if adventurers really earn that much. To which the man in front of him explained that this was not really the case. It was just that the goods they brought were special. The man asked for the guild certificate, and the old man gave it to him. When he saw on the certificate that it said that there was a rank 3 adventurer in front of him, the man began to shout, as before the guard, explaining that if he defeated a monster of equivalent rank, he could earn 10 times more. Upon hearing this, our hero was even more surprised. The old man was asked if he had been updating the documents for a long time. The last recording was made more than 10 years ago. The old man explained that he had not been to the city for many years, and hoped that then he needed to update his documents. So far, our hero has been at a loss about how much money they received. And then the man explained that if he had a low rank, it means that the certificate expired due to non-payment of taxes. Upon hearing about this, our hero was surprised that this happened. And then the man explained that the low-rank commission is deducted from the advance payment. So if the commission is not received, he does not pay tax. If he has a guild certificate, then he can be exempt from the derogatory tax. Our hero did not understand if it was the same in the merchant guild, because it was the first time he had heard about all this. To which the man explained that everything was completely wrong with them. Because they have a permit, merchants may not go to the city to pay the amount of tax. Upon hearing this, the young man was very surprised and turned to the old man. It seemed to our hero then that perhaps Granny's guild certificate was also expired, but that the old man explained that maybe this was also the case, so he would need to check it later. Then they decided that they needed to take care of it, and the man hoped that soon they would come to him again, saying goodbye to their new clients. After that, they finished the update at the reception. By the way, our hero has heard that monsters tamed in the forest can be considered enslaved if evidence is provided. After they finished completely, our hero followed the old man. They had to decide what they were supposed to do now. To which the old man, looking at the windows, decided that they could go shopping. Shu was also interested to know what a man usually buys at the market, to which he explained that he mainly buys wheat and vegetables. And the young man asked about spices, because it's expensive, but the rice turns out very tasty. Here the old man wanted to point out that, as far as he remembered, the soup was simply excellent. This special charl soup with herbs and spices was delicious, and he couldn't stop. Then the old man decided that they could buy spices for the shelter, and our hero, a little embarrassed, agreed with him. The old man was wondering if there was anything else good here, hoping that our hero will dedicate all the details to him. Then the young man decided that it was possible to buy some alcohol or clothes for Sakoya-chan. When the old man heard about the latter, he decided that it was a great option, souvenirs for Sakoya, and therefore he needed to go shopping. Souvenirs for Sakoya, and therefore he needed to go shopping. Seeing the pressure of the old man, of course, our hero was surprised. But then they went to the grocery store, where they bought flour, cheese, spices, and more. In the wine, several types of sake, for cooking, vinegar, fruit, wine, and ale. Then they went to the fabric store to buy something for Sakuya-chan. When our hero saw the amount of fabrics that the old man was buying, he realized that he was taking just that, and that it was too much to sew clothes. But there was nothing to do. He knew that the old man was unstoppable. After that, when they were done, they returned back to the shelter. When they arrived, they saw that everything looked great. All the guys were playing with his familiars. At that moment, he wanted to turn to the old man, hoping that it was not hard for him. But he saw that the old man was no longer with him. Shu did not understand where he had gone. Then suddenly, as he walked forward, he heard what was being said about Sakuya, and that it was all for her. Our hero went inside, saw the girls looking at the fabrics that the old man had bought. They admired how cute it was and how incredible he was. The old man, of course, was moved, explaining that Sakuya had bought the tone especially for them, and the other girls were delighted with it. Bringing the fabrics to the director and grandmother, the girls showed them what the old man had bought them. When the director saw this, she was surprised, and the girl was offered that she could sew clothes for them later. Of course, the old man was very surprised, but our hero explained that there was nothing to be done. He wanted to please him somehow, so he turned to him, asked him to teach him fencing on the street. The old man was immediately inspired and decided that it was necessary to move his body correctly. So they went to train. And then Cruz and the others joined them, and so it went on until lunch. Therefore, The old man and the others began to show off in front of the guys, showing them how to move. When night fell, our hero went ahead and used the backlight in every room. At that moment, the old man explained that they were really used to everyday magic, consecration. Our hero explained that this was the case. With this, they don't worry about lighting after sunset either. The magic fire torch can be used with fireplaces and stoves so that they can save firewood. And when they wash, he could warm the water. And our hero, thinking to himself, of course, wanted to create a bath someday, because it would be just wonderful. The old man asked Sakura if she wanted to stay the night. And of course, our hero's sister, arriving at the girl, offered to stay with her for the night, grabbing Sakura. She immediately agreed, smiling at our hero's sister and hugging with her. Grandpa, looking at Sakura, was very glad that she had a friend. He wanted to touch them, feeling how lonely she was. Our hero, watching the old man shake, of course, again did not understand what he was talking about. The next day, they went to the city. Both grandfather and the others started repairing the shelter. Here, looking at the ceiling, I thought that they had to strengthen it so that it would not collapse further. And as it turned out, Grandma only had to pay some taxes to renew her guild card. Meanwhile, our hero's sister offered Sakura to listen to her carefully, because there was one store in which there was a witch. Hearing this, Sakura, of course, was very surprised. And at that very second, she felt that something smelled very good here. And then our hero's sister explained that there was a bakery in front of her. Looking at these sweets, they thought that they could have a little snack. The girls, of course, were very happy, and turning to Shu, they asked if he could take them to the store where he bought that fabric yesterday. Our hero did not understand what she needed, and the sister explained that she and Sakura were going to wear the same clothes. The girl spoke with her mouth full, so that our hero barely understood what she wanted to say. Then Grandma came up and explained that she wanted her to have suitable outfits, so she was thinking about buying more of this fabric. Now our hero understood what his sister meant, and realized that they really got along. When they returned to the shelter, repairs were still underway. They needed a board, someone was shouting, someone was helping, and our hero thought that it would take a lot of time to repair. Then, when everyone decided to relax a little, it was time for lunch, and for lunch and the lunch they had their signature soup Charles again. Looking at all this, our hero did not understand whether the girl was overdoing it. Seeing how hard she tried, Shu joined them at 2 p.m. as they somehow finished the repairs. The old man, pointing at everything he had done, explained that it should have been enough for the moment, but the shelter was pretty battered, and it may soon need a real renovation. When our hero heard this, to himself, he thought about the fact that in the end, you need to earn more money. The old man, looking at the children, offered to continue yesterday's training. Our hero wanted to add that he should have taken a break long ago, but the old man was full of energy. And when Cruz heard that, he also wanted to practice, just like the rest of the guys. Our hero did not expect that any of them would want to train with him, and that everyone was and will be so excited. Then Shu decided to make some wooden swords for practice, seeing how all the guys were following the old man. In the meantime, they were practicing with a stick. But there is a reason why everyone is so eager to train with a sword. After they turn 10, they will be able to leave the shelter and work in the city. But there haven't been many vacancies lately, and it's been difficult to find a job. Meanwhile, our hero brought them made swords so that the guys could replace the sticks with these swords. He was thinking that now more and more children want to become adventurers. Girls learn to sew from their grandmother. Our hero is watching them, thinking about how great it was. The dress they made was completed. Seeing this, our hero's sister noticed that it would look great on Sakura. And the girl was also very happy. After they finished with all the entertainment programs and had dinner, our heroes began to go to bed. Today was the day when Grandpa and the others were supposed to return home. And looking at the guys who were sitting in the dining room at that moment, Shu saw that they all looked pretty depressed. Distracting our hero from his thoughts, the old man asked him for a moment, and the young man thought that something had happened. When the old man took him aside and told him something, our hero was surprised in hearing that the young man thought it was a great idea. They decided to gather everyone in the yard and announce something. The old man thanked them for their hospitality, and the director explained that they were only happy. And we also thanked them for the repairs and training. Then the old man was addressed as a master and asked to visit them again and teach them more of their various sword skills. Our hero, looking at how the guys ran up to the old man and happily talked to him, was very surprised and did not understand when they started calling him master. Meanwhile, our hero's sister, running up to Sakuya, hugged her with tears in her eyes, offered to play with her again. Sakuya also hugged her with tears in his eyes, explaining to her that they could also play at her house if she ever came to her place. Of course, Sakuya's sister shouted that she would visit her with her brother. Our hero was thinking that she was making independent decisions again, without consulting him at all. And, of course, he was very surprised, realizing that he would have to comply with her request. Otherwise, she would be upset again. Looking at the animals that were sitting in the cart, he hoped that they were all right. And then, suddenly, his attention was attracted by his sister, who grabbed our hero by the hand. He saw that something had obviously happened to the girl, because she was looking at him with such a sad look. The sister, a little shyly addressing her brother, hoped that she would be able to see Sakuya again. Then our hero understood that it was necessary to please her somehow. There was something he wanted to tell her, namely that he had talked to his grandfather. He said they would come once a month. When my sister heard this, she couldn't believe the words of our hero and was very happy. The young man explained that this was indeed the case and he wasn't lying to her, so they could look forward to their next visit. Of course, when his sister heard this, she was so glad that she was no longer upset. But when it came time to say goodbye, of course, she got upset again. Our hero, looking at her, understood that the girl was trying her best not to cry. At that moment, our hero's sister waved to Sakuya and said goodbye to her. Sakuya, in turn, was also shaking from the fact that she wanted to cry. The old man standing over her explained that the little cat sister seemed to be really lonely, and Shu explained that this was indeed the case. Looking at Sakuya, the young man thought that maybe they could soon visit their grandfather's house with a hunting group, and then, perhaps, Sakuya would not have to be as sad as his little sister, who was also going through this separation, and he decided that he would accompany his grandparents to the gate, while everyone else would wave at them from the shelter. The next few days passed peacefully. On hunting days, I visited my grandfather and the others. During blacksmithing, he made nails. Our hero also made chairs and a table from planks, which he made while working on wood. After making the table, our hero was very happy that he had succeeded. Sakuya, along with his grandmother and the rest of the guys, were also happy, admiring the work of our hero. One day, Grandpa brought a young goblin with him, and when he saw him, of course, our hero was scared. But they used it for training, as goblins are the weakest humanoid monsters. The forest monkey also proved useful during fruit picking. 2 weeks later, when our hero was walking through the shelter, he saw his sister, who was sitting completely sad. When he noticed her, he noticed that she didn't look very well. Thinking that something had obviously happened to the girl, the same one, sadly and a little embarrassed, explained that she wanted to see Sakuya. Our hero, of course, understood this. So the next time he went to his grandparents, he wanted to take the cat girl with him and so explained it to them. After hearing this, the old man understood that he wanted to take his cat sister. Our hero explained that this was so because she would turn out to really miss Sakuya. But our hero explained that if grandparents didn't mind, he would also like to bring Cruz and Iria. Hearing these names, the old man remembered that they were those children of the beast people. It's only the 3 of them so far, but he didn't mind. Hearing that Grandpa approved of it, Sakuya was also very happy. Our hero hoped that it was really normal. After all, Grandfather explained that if they often visit this forest, it is not dangerous. But he thought they should keep this house a secret. And then Grandpa decided that they couldn't build a hut outside the forest. When he heard about the hut, the young man was surprised. And then Grandpa noticed that if they had a hut, they wouldn't have to meet in the woods every time. Shu thought it was too sudden, but the old man asked him not to panic. They would just get to it right now. Or rather, Shu himself would do it. Our hero, hearing that he had to do this, the young man was even more surprised. Grandpa explained that this would be a good practice for woodworking and would come in handy when the shelter needed repairs again. But our hero was sure that it would come in handy. But it's too complicated for one person. The old man did not say that he would be only one boy. The wolf will come too, so there will be 2 of them. But our hero, hearing him laugh, explained that it just didn't change anything. Grandpa explained that he would need his help anyway, so he had to stop complaining. They had to go. Of course, all that remained for our hero was to agree with the old man. Ki, inspired by his idea, first offered to decide on a place to build a house. Our hero saw that he was really motivated for some reason. When they came to the edge of the forest, the old man decided that there was a magnificent view from this place, so it was possible to build a hut somewhere nearby. If they build it next to the river, they can build a well. After hearing this, Shu decided that it was a good idea. After walking a little further, they came across a river. Looking at this, he decided that everything should have been fine here, but Shu didn't even know where to start. The old man explained that the ground here was too soft, so first he had to use his earth magic to harden it. The young man realized that the old man was hinting that he had to toughen the ground, and decided to try. Leaning my hands against the ground, he let his magic flow into the ground, imagining the earth hardening. Gradually, it became more and more difficult. Now our hero just needed to gradually expand the area, which he did. A circle formed in front of them, and the young man hoped that this should have been enough. The old man confirmed that this was enough, looking at the animals that frolicked in this circle. Now the old man suggested then to try to create boulders around it. After hearing about the boulders, our hero wanted even more details. The old man said that they were needed in order to hide the hut. Listening to his instructions, our hero decided to try and, concentrating, began to act. Huge boulders appeared in front of him next to the circle that he had recently made. The old man noticed that this should have been enough, and they could stop for today. Our hero decided that then he would return tomorrow with everyone, and the old man decided that then he would bring some more firewood. When our hero came home, he told his sister that she could see Sakuya. And when she heard that she could really meet Sakuya, and the girl was very happy, our hero confirmed that if the headmistress didn't mind, they could go and meet her. It took our hero's sister a couple of seconds to run to the director and ask her if she could go meet Sakuya. Our hero only managed to see the tail moving away from him. Then, when he entered the office, he saw his sister begging the director to come out. The director was surprised by the girl's pressure, and all she had to do was ask our hero if it was okay. After hearing how the sister begged the director, our hero explained that everything was fine. They would not go to their house. There's a small hut next to the forest. He builds it as part of his woodworking practice. He's also thinking about taking on the others around. When the director heard that our hero was building a hut, she thought that this would probably create problems for them. But our hero explained that everything was fine. It was something like a grandfather's hobby. He added that Sakuya also missed everyone. Having heard that this was the case, then our hero's sister could also go. She waited with bated breath for this answer, and when she heard it, she was very happy. She was jumping on the spot, jumping and screaming with joy. When they got permission, our hero decided to please Cruz and Iria. Cruz was also encouraged that they could go to the master. Like Iria, she was also glad that they could play with Sakuya again. Watching the girls and the happy Cruz, Shu was very glad that everything went well. And then the day came when our hero took his friends and his little sister with him so that they could finally see Sakuya and Grandma and Grandpa. The sister ran so fast to Sakuya and then hugged her and talked about how much she missed her. Sakuya, hugging the girl back, also missed her very much. Seeing this scene, Grandma and Grandpa, our hero, just watched and rejoiced. Shu greeted everyone, and so did Cruz. Grandma greeted everyone, and the old man told them how long they had been waiting for them. So today, he had to figure out what they would do. Then Cruz, wagging his tail, asked the master to train with him. And since Cruz wanted to train, then the old man agreed, and Iria explained that there were many things she wanted to ask her grandmother about, but she also needed to look after Sakuya and our hero's sister. Therefore, everyone had to decide what they would do today. Our hero decided that he would try several ways to dry trees. Then the guys counted on him. Before he starts the experiment, he would like to make some roosts for Pai-chan and the others. Pai-chan, who was standing next to him, did not understand what our hero was talking about, and then decided to get down to business in order to show him as soon as possible. After climbing a tree, he had to cut off several branches from it, then cut the leaves from the branches and tie everything properly into a cross. Now you just had to stick them in the ground. The job was done. The young man stuck them on the sides of the place he had dug. Pai-chan sat down there, and an owl crouched next to him. Our hero was very glad that he liked it very much. Both of them were delighted with what the young men had done. Looking at the logs that lay in front of him, our hero was now thinking about which drying method would be best for this. And first he tried the magic of water. Although there is water in them, it is not in liquid form, so this method did not work. Next, he tried fire magic. He then tried to evaporate the water by building a fire next to them, but ended up with one of the logs burning down. The young man understood that if he continued in the same spirit, he would turn them into just coal. But then our hero saw that they had already sort of caught fire. Then he needed to think. If the fire was useless, he wondered if there would be enough heat to evaporate the water. The young man wrapped the logs in the barrier of the wind mage and built a fire further away. Then he began to send heat through the trees. Based on this, he just needed to pull the moisture out of the air. Wind magic, water magic, and fire magic that he used. Controlling 3 types of magic at the same time was too difficult for a young man. Therefore, he was very exhausted. After a while, breathing heavily, he wondered if what he was doing had worked. The young man went to his grandfather and explained that he had finished. Meanwhile, he was training with Cruz and went to see how our hero was doing. When he came to the logs, he was wondering how everything had gone, and our hero thought that he had managed it well enough. Then, Grandpa decided to check it out. After looking at the logs, he praised our hero, and he did pretty well, and he thought they could even use them. Joy sifted through the young man's face. He even fell to his knees from how happy he was. Cruz began to praise and explain that it was very cool. Our hero then decided that he would continue to dry them in the same way. And Cruz said that he was going to continue his studies with the master. The old man, meanwhile, offered them food to begin with, realizing that both of them must have been very hungry. And just then, their bellies rumbled, so the guys agreed. The soup that Grandma cooked has become even tastier than before, our hero noticed. She explained that she had tried using some spices that Grandpa had bought in the city. Therefore, he sighed proudly and that it was all thanks to him. Cruz and our hero looked at him in silence, as did everyone else. Grandma then noticed that it turned out that Sakia and the others did not help her in any way. The girls were still looking at the old man dejectedly at this moment. And then I realized that he had said something bad, trying to explain that this was not what it was, what we hadn't thought about, and I began to panic. Our hero, looking at him, decided that he had done the wrong thing at all. After lunch, our hero returned to drying trees. Grandpa and Cruz went hunting for the queen, and Grandma and the others went sewing. And that's why our hero had plenty of time to be alone with himself and practice a lot. After a while, he finished drying the trees. After watching how he did everything, our hero decided that, if you think about it, despite the fact that they built a hut next to the river, they still did not hold water. And this was a very important moment for the hut and everything in it to exist as it should. Shu dug up the earth with the help of earth magic and made a small waterway and pond. While he was doing this, he also tried to make a riverbank. After finishing all his business, he went back to the old man and told his grandfather that he had brought the water closer to home. Upon hearing about this, of course, the man praised our hero. Turning to Shu, he thought that it was probably time for him to go home. The young man decided that the old man was right. Then he decided that he would go and bring Cruz and the others. The young man also thanked the old man today for helping them. The old man asked him not to worry about it, because they were having fun too. Then the old man, looking at the logs that lay in front of our hero, decided that they would use these trees. But the young man explained that he would show more. These trees could not be used, because he still needed to practice drying. Then, when they finished, our hero explained that they had come. Then his sister suddenly turned to him, and turning to the girl, he saw that she had come out to him in a new dress, and not only she, but also Iria and Sakura with her. All 3 girls were wearing the same dresses. When our hero looked closely at them, he was surprised how it looked. He really liked it. Grandpa saw the 3 girls, was incredibly surprised, confused by how cute they looked. Shu saw that they had finished with the clothes, and our hero's sister noticed that it was so. All 3 of them showed how beautiful the dresses looked on them. The sister wondered what her brother would say, because so far he had not paid any compliment. Sakura only stood next to her and looked at the floor, because she was very shy, waiting for our hero's answer. Shu noticed that these dresses were really cute and the girls looked amazing. So Kulia heard this from our hero. Her face flushed, and she couldn't look him in the eye. Meanwhile, Iria, addressing Cruz, added that he could also say pleasant things from time to time. Cruz, embarrassed, muttered to Iria that she shouldn't have taught him this, angry that the girl was doing it. The sister said goodbye to Sakura, explaining that they would see each other later, and Sakura also said goodbye to the guys, so they went back to the shelter. After that, our hero began to alternate picking fruits in the dragon forest with working on the hut. He had a lot of things to do. Cruz started fighting monsters more often as part of his training. However, his short sword quickly became useless. Our hero was giving away the wooden swords he had made. Each time, Cruz brought him broken swords and looked guiltily at our hero, who was surprised that Cruz had broken another sword again. His little sister and the others have used up the fabric they bought in the city, and now they are working on making durable clothing and armor out of leather. And thanks to this, their daily lives continue to improve every day. And a little later, Sakuya and the others visited our heroes at the shelter again. And as usual, our heroes went with them. When the young man's sister saw Sakuya, she was very glad and was glad that they would go to spend the night together. Since they decided to go ahead then, harnessing the cart, they set off together. And everyone was very happy on the way. The old man was the most happy, and Cruz was with him. The sister, watching them, decided that it was fun. So Iria suggested to hurry. It's too far away from them, watching as Cruz cheerfully followed the old man. Then they sat down to eat. The old man decided that our hero, standing in the doorway, was missing something. After all, this soup is as delicious as ever. Our hero added that. After all, it was Charles' signature soup. She had really mastered the culinary skill, as the girl added, and now the old man understood why he was so good. Charles added that it was all because they now have a lot of ingredients thanks to Grandpa and Shu. The old man added that he would have said that these were the results of a game, sweaty work, but the boy really helped him. Our hero was standing near the table laughing, a little shy. After lunch, they went on a tour of the city, and the old man took with him some of the monsters that they had defeated last time. Explaining this to the girl in the guild, who was looking forward to them, the old man also added that they had killed insects and several wild boars. The girl was still looking for goblins, but there are no requests to subdue wild boars or insects. There are people who are looking for wild boar meat or bee honey, but they also need boar meat for shelter. But bee honey, the old man thought about it. Our hero, waiting for the old man to stop thinking, decided to put the trophy right in front of the girl. She was surprised that all these trophies belonged to the goblins, and this was exactly what they needed. Cruz proudly explained that it was the result of his training. It was also important for the girl to know exactly when these goblins were damaged in order to calculate everything correctly. And then the old man added that it was quite recently. She also needed to know if they had defeated them all in one place. The old man thought it was close enough. The girl was thinking. She explained that if there were so many of them, it might mean that they were building a nest, and if they were careful, they would have to deal with the Goblin King. After hearing about the Goblin King, our hero looked questioningly at the old man and the girl. Then the girl explained that they all knew that goblins work in groups. As their numbers grow, they begin to build nests, after which stronger individuals appear, and eventually a king is born. Depending on the king's skills, the goblin threat level will increase significantly. She also added that it was too dangerous to leave everything like that, so she would have to create enslavement forces from adventurers and soldiers. Therefore, she suggested that our heroes tell her the exact location. After listening to the girl, the old man explained that if everything she said was true, and she had nothing to worry about. Oh, of course, she didn't understand what he meant. The old man simply said that they had already found out the location of the nest, also about the existence of the king, and of all of them, only 30 individuals remained alive. So there's really no need to worry about it anymore, he proudly declared. After hearing this, the girl did not understand what the old man meant. They won't do anything against them, and it could end badly. The old man explained that even goblins cannot increase their numbers in one day, or the job of the guild, as he understood it, is to take away prey. But the girl explained that this was not the case. But our hero, watching the conversation between the old man and the girl, noticed that he should not have mocked her. He began to apologize. Now, the old man decided to end the jokes and said that if it was just that, he could handle it himself, and the girl should not have worried about this situation. She thanked him for that, of course, and then gave him the reward, and the old man gave the award to our hero. The young man explained that it really wasn't necessary. He meant that the old man had trained them anyway. The same one asked not to worry, because this is also part of the most important training. Shu understood that. Apparently, it was a continuation. And the old man added that from now on they would fight even stronger monsters. so they would use their reward to recoup even more powerful weapons. Upon hearing this, our hero understood everything and only thought about a new weapon. Now Shu guessed that they were going to the gun store, but the old man added that they had to go to the fabric store first. Sakuya and his grandmother asked him to buy a new cloth. Last time they used everything at once, so they bought a little, looking at the old man after the fabric store and the huge pile in his hands. Cruz thought it was such a waste of time. And our hero was thinking about how many people were going to sew clothes for. Then they came to the gun store. We bought wheat, spices, alcohol, and something else before that. We finally got to the gun store. This is a popular store for adventurers. It was here that they decided to buy a short sword and a short bow. Now, the old man offered to go and choose a weapon for Cruz. The latter immediately ran to fulfill his request. Seeing Cruz running away, our hero wanted to do it too. But at that moment, the old man stopped him. They needed to know if our hero had recently used his assessment skill, but the young man did not think about it. And then the old man added that his technique skills would not develop if he did not use them, so he had to try to find himself a good deal with the valuation. When the old man told about the bargain, the young man did not understand what he meant, and he added that his assessment was strong enough to see his race, and our hero could find something that people would not pay attention to. He was interested in this because he got this skill from God, Shu thought to himself. The old man suggested that he try to search among the old and used ones, just not to let them notice that our hero uses evaluation. He understood all this and decided to do it, but none of these weapons seemed special to him. Looking at the walls, which were hung with a lot of swords, some of them seemed good, but if you look closely, you can see that they were in poor condition. And our hero understood that they were quite cheap, and then he noticed a barrel in which there was another weapon and took it out. He decided to look at it. Increased sharpness, he saw. And if that was the case, it produces such an effect and should cost more. In this moment, when the young man took off the scabbard, he saw that the sword was broken. Shu was very surprised that the man was selling boldly broken weapons. When he saw these swords, he understood what our hero was talking about. The man explained that these weapons were either broken, used, or not very good, so they sold them without return and complaints. Now our hero saw and thought that he could take it apart, so that he thought he would buy it if he could even convert it into a new knife. He was wondering if there was anything else in that barrel. Then he noticed something. Decrease in strength, decrease in endurance, and decrease in speed. Looking at the sword that was in his hands, he realized that it was an imposed curse. Turning to his grandfather, he needed to know if there was a way to use cursed items, such as the ones he held in his hands. So he whispered to him about it. Grandpa pretended that at first he did not hear him, but then, after hearing about the cursed items, he explained that it was possible to purify with light magic, holy magic, and then he would be able to use them. He asked him if he could use such magic. Our hero explained that he could use light magic a little bit. And then the old man explained that they could purify them. Refined items can become quite powerful, depending on how strong the curse was. And then our hero, who caught fire with this idea, decided to buy this knife too. Then Shu noticed Cruz standing nearby. The boy looked lovingly at the sword in his hands, and our hero thought that he was buying it. Cruz decided that this was the right time. He was the most brilliant of them, and therefore had to be strong. Our hero thought about it, did not understand if his friend was serious. Returning to his tablet, Shu realized that the sword looked good, but his skills and speed left much to be desired. In fact, it's just a demonstration sword. Our hero thought it would be better for his friend if he chose something else. It was just for the record, as the old man, who saw that the young man chose something like this, was very surprised. Cruz heard that the master was saying the same thing as our hero. Of course he was surprised. Then the master, addressing our hero, suggested that the guy teach his friend what to look for in choosing a weapon. Cruz was upset, but our hero only good-naturedly decided to help him and explained to the young man that since his weapon is used for combat, he should have chosen something durable. There are other important aspects, such as sharpness. After listening to our hero, Cruz, of course, knew all this. Then the young man continued, explained that you should also pick up weapons that will be easy to use. Of course, Cruz pretended to know that. Then our hero added that there was a weapon that was easy to handle, to which Cruz explained that this was the case, and at least he should have tried to look at him. Our hero decided, realizing that Cruz could not look into his eyes. Then Shu asked him to remember what he had just told him and try to choose a weapon. After listening carefully to our hero, Cruz tried to do this, and the old man, watching them two, only exhaled heavily. After a while, Cruz found a weapon that seemed worthy to him, and then he needed to know the opinion of our hero, because he thought they were good. Looking at the swords that were in front of him, our hero thought to himself that Cruz had chosen based on weight and grip because he didn't have an estimate, and decided to inspect it. The one on the right looks the sharpest, Cruz explained. It seems to be quite sharp, but its strength is not very strong, our hero explained. This one is not as sharp, but it will last longer than the previous one, he said about the second sword. Approaching Cruz, our hero whispered in his ear that it was only about the two of them, but thought that he could sharpen it himself later. Upon hearing this, Cruz was delighted, and then decided to stop at this sword. Then our hero offered to look at this sword to his grandfather, who, after looking at it, decided that it was not bad for a guy who would hold a sword of this rank. After hearing that everyone approved of his sword, Cruz was insanely happy, and from today on it will be his new partner. Looking at how his friend is happy, of course, our hero thought it was great. They finally chose a sword for Cruz. After training, our hero said that they finally returned and Grandpa ran to Sakia, shouting that he had gifts for her. Of course, our hero decided that he would make a scabbard for Cruz first, so he had to lend him the sword for a while. Cruz, of course, immediately agreed. Then our hero made a stone sword of the same weight and length using earth magic and offered to use it when Cruz was training. Then it was possible to train while he left the scabbard on our hero, which he did. The guys, noticing Shu and Cruz, walked over, deciding to ask if the young man would now work on wood. Our hero decided to explain that he would probably make a scabbard first, and then begin to sharpen the sword. All the guys asked to see it, and hoped that our hero would allow them to do so. He didn't mind, of course, but he didn't understand why they were so interested. They explained that their grandfather teaches them a lot to become adventurers, but they thought that wood and metalworking classes would also be useful to them. Now our hero understood what was the matter. These children cannot get a job in the city. As a rule, they only have a day job or help at a shelter. The young man then suggested that they not just watch, but try. He has a lot of firewood left, and even if they fail, they can reuse it as firewood. After hearing this, the guys couldn't believe that our hero was really sure of this, because it seemed to them that it could help them. Then he saw an old man floating by, completely upset, and realized that his grandfather was clearly not okay. The same one explained that Grandpa go to someone else. This is exactly the phrase she told him. Our hero thought to himself that he was sure that this grandfather had tried to force a conversation or something like that, and therefore the girls did not like it. Finds herself facing an impossible minotaur. It was already dark outside, and in the evening his grandmother taught him the light magic of purification, and he also decided to try it on a knife that was enchanted. But even after a 30-minute attempt, he was unable to clean the surface. Now our hero understood why it was being sold at a discount. He was wondering if it would be faster for him to use holy magic. But holy magic has limitations. Only a priest can use it, and you'll have to sacrifice a lot to get the knife cleaned. The sister, who was watching our hero all this time, saw that the sister sat down with them, and it seemed to her that the light magic was beautiful. She hoped Sakia thought the same way. But our hero was at a loss this time. But even so, he decided to let the children that wanted to learn how to work on wood. He tried to help find a job on the recommendation of the director. But lately it has become more difficult as the number of children has grown. He was going to become an adventurer before Steel once, since he is older. The next day, Shu went to talk to the director. First of all, to teach them how to hunt and harvest. They will take turns going to the forest. In addition, the old man, who was always there, explained that if he needed everything, then he could provide it to him, because he would also help them. Addressing Cruz, he suggested that he arrange several duels while the old man was not around, and Cruz asked to leave it to him, addressing his master. Then the old man added that when it was ready, they could teach them metalworking, and Grandma added that she could teach them potions. Our hero was very glad that everyone helped him. In recent days, Grandpa has been teaching boys woodwork and swordsmanship. and Grandma is teaching girls sewing, leather making, and medicine making. And the young man thought that he probably owed them again. And then the day came when Grandpa and the others returned home. When they were all done, Shu and his grandfather wondered how he could purify the cursed sword. The old man who asked him then explained that naturally, what he could do was to continue to purify him. Our hero explained that he tried all day yesterday but couldn't. My grandfather added that this is why cursed objects cause so many problems. Our hero saw that he could not answer him anything useful, to which the old man explained that even he did not possess holy magic, and our hero apparently could use it, as far as he remembered. But it was impossible. Our hero was not a priest. The main thing is that he did not succeed, as he decided. The old man added that it was true that he must have had a connection with God. Our hero laughed and explained that it was unlikely that he had something like that. It was impossible. And then he thought to himself that he came to this world because he was called by God. Did it mean what our hero thought? That he could really use holy magic? At that moment, when the realization came to him, he couldn't believe it. The old man did not notice how our hero's face changed and just asked him to be patient for now, which he actually did. The next time they went to the forest, they took 2 boys with them, and today they were just going to patrol the area. As our hero explained to the gathered children, there are no strong monsters nearby, so they could not worry. The slightly nervous guys looked at each other and were happy about it. Moving further through the forest, our hero and everyone else saw Mai running towards them, and it looks like she found a horned rabbit. Thanking her for her good work, our hero stroked her. Cruz, standing next to him, decided that then they could not go any further, and turning to the 2 guys who went with them, our hero decided that the 2 of them could just watch for now. Meanwhile, Cruz started fighting and won. He showed them his loot. When the boys saw this, they were very surprised, and our hero added that it would probably be difficult for them to do it this way, so they could use a trap for the next time. The guys were glad that our hero supported them, and then they were distracted by Pai-chan. While our hero was talking to the guys, Pai found a fanged boar. It was quite big, but our hero thought it was the perfect chance for the guys to raise their level. They swallowed and agreed with our hero, but of course, they were very nervous. Their strategy was to create a trap using magic, with him and his younger sister in front, while Cruz and Iria form a pair with one of the children, taking positions on both sides. Mu had to go ahead. Meanwhile, she was distracting the fanged boar. When the cool boar gets trapped, Shu uses earth magic to harden the earth. It all worked, and now the guys needed to attack his eyes while they still could. Both boys looked at the terrible boar and did not dare to go forward. But our hero, having commanded, suggested once again to the young men to go ahead. Then Cruz, seeing that the guys were hesitant, decided that maybe they should start with the horned rabbit. But the guys assured me that everything was fine and they would do it. Gathering themselves, they ran at the boar. Our hero explained that they had to move away and help them. The guys were sitting near a tree, resting after their outing, and our hero, coming up to them, thanked them for their good work. He was wondering what the guys thought about it, and one of them replied that it was kind of exhausting, and 2 thought that the fanged boar was pretty scary. Our hero explained that he really wanted to start with a horned rabbit, but it didn't work out. The young man only hoped that their level had increased. The guys told us that they had reached level 10, which made our hero very happy. The boys thanked the young man, and it was all thanks to him and Cruz. Now our hero has decided that it needs to be given so that all the blood comes out. The 2 of them could rest. They were, of course, in debt to our hero. Meanwhile, he began to tie up the boar, and Cruz caught even stronger prey. Although it seemed to our hero that the boar on the first day was too much for the guys. But if the level continues to grow, it will only get better. Our hero decided. While everyone else was busy, he suggested that after finally starting to return back to the shelter, the girls decided to follow our hero to get close to him. Our hero began to dry logs with the help of magic, and Cruz continued his training. His little sister and others tried to make some leather armor. The girls explained to our hero that they wanted to make the same ones. Hearing this from his sister, of course, he saw that she was as enthusiastic as ever. After lunch, our heroes had to conduct combat training. The girls hadn't fought monsters that much yet, as far as Shu remembered. When they heard this, they noticed that he was right. Cruz immediately started talking about the fact that he was already in this case. Iria explained that she wasn't interested because she hadn't even asked him. It depends on how he swelled up with pride again. The old man explained that to become an adventurer, you need to gain more experience. This time they focus on defining the appropriate role for everyone. Our hero was very glad that he was helping them, and so they decided to go ahead. To begin with, we had to try to fight him. Tell him when they're ready, Grandpa begged, pointing at the monster next to him. Cruz, seeing this, asked the girls how they would act. And our hero, because they worked as a team, he suggested that Cruz defeat him with a shield, and our hero will support him with magic. The young man agreed. Turning to Arya, he hoped that she would be able to be in the cover and that she would be careful and not miss, given her inexperience. After hearing Cruz talking to her, Arya asked him to shut up, because he had embarrassed her very much. My sister was wondering what she would do, and our hero explained that he just needs to throw stones at him from time to develop a throwing skill. Of course, she gladly agreed. And they were ready, our hero noted. Seeing that the guys were ready, Grandpa then decided to let the bull off the chain. And the next moment, Cruz began to defend himself from him with his shield. After he beat him off, Arya and the girls had to attack him. Arya and our hero's sister started attacking him with their arrows and stones. Our hero, looking at this, decided that everything was going well and he had to trap him with magic. Next, he asked Arya to join the game again. Obeying our hero, she began to throw arrows at this bull. And then they succeeded, and he was defeated. The guys were very happy that they had a team work. It's so good that they managed to remove such a powerful opponent. Now they could continue in the same spirit. After that, our heroes fought 2 more raging bulls and fanged boars. Arya wasn't good at it. She was inexperienced, but her marksmanship was really bad. She apologized to the guys for that, but the young man asked her not to apologize, because if she practiced, then she knew that she would definitely get better. Arya thought she had weak arrows. She couldn't pierce the skin of these animals. Our hero, of course, would like them to have iron arrows, but there was nothing to be done, and they continued to train like that for a little longer. After that, when the training was over, the young man offered to return, but then grandfather interrupted them, showing them the loot he had brought, explaining that this would be the last one for today. When our hero looked at him carefully, he realized that Grandpa was carrying an orc on his back. He explained that their intelligence and strength were slightly higher than goblins, so the guys had to be careful. Cruz wasn't worried. Whether it was a goblin or an orc, he believed that it wasn't a problem for him and was ready to go into battle. So the guys moved towards their goal again. Our hero's sister was the first to attack the orc, trying to attack him with stones, and Arya supported her with her arrows. Shu suggested aiming at the face. The orc began to cover his face and fend off the attacks of our heroes with his baton. Cruz stood in front of him, who was ready to deal with this orc. But the young man thought early that he would succeed. The orc hit Cruz and threw him back a few meters. Our hero, seeing this, hoped that his friend was okay. Getting up, Cruz explained that he was fine, and he wasn't going to lose to this opponent. So he went into battle with him again. When Cruz attacked the opponent again, he couldn't do anything. He was angry that his opponent was too hard, so he asked Shu to finish with him. Our hero, hearing that his friend needed help, decided to help him with his magic. And the next moment, when Cruz made a deceptive maneuver, attacking the orc, our hero realized that the orc was finally caught. The young man attacked him so that they finally won. After that, Cruz decided that he could rest peacefully by falling to the ground. Arya and the girls, approaching our hero, hoped that he was okay. The same sadly replied that it was so. And our hero's sister thought that he had fallen, which made the boy very embarrassed because it wasn't like that. Grandpa came up to them and praised the guys for their good work, and our hero needed to find out how strong the orc was. That's when Grandpa thought about it. If they hadn't worked together, the old man would have said that he was about the same as a fanged boar, and he was very interested to hear what it was like to fight one of these opponents. Cruz noticed that it took longer than he expected, and it wasn't easy. Arya really couldn't have done it alone if it hadn't been for Shu, of course. The old man explained that they would have given up alone. They would not have defeated him because they were still children, and now they needed to study even more. The guys, of course, agreed with him. After their training, they did not return back to the others. Sakuya, seeing our hero's sister, was glad that she had finally come. The girl was also happy. She explained to Sakuya and that now she was ready to play with her. Our hero happily watched the reunion of girlfriends, looking at the guys, but I hope that none of them got hurt. Explaining that she had done it with her grandmother and was a little shy, she showed the guys the restoring magic potions that lay in her hands. When they saw that Sakura had done this for them, the guys thanked them for such a job. Iria immediately decided to joke that Cruz had fallen and that it was perfect for him. After hearing that Iria was making fun of him again, Cruz asked not to tell Sakura about it, because he was ashamed. The next time they went hunting, the guys took several children with them, but this time they started with easier goals. After all, Cruz cooked orc meat for them, which turned out to be very tasty, as the young man noticed. And our hero's sister was also glad, because it was really so. And it seemed to the young man that it even tasted a little like pork. The next day, Grandpa wanted them to fight a new monster. He's weaker than a goblin, so they won't have any problems. Upon hearing that this monster was next, our hero was surprised, because they had not fought stronger opponents before. When he heard that the guys were interested, he invited them to look forward to it, proudly walking forward in front of them. Moving through a beautiful flower field, our heroes tried to figure out what kind of place it was, where the master wanted to bring them. Cruz was indignant. The master wanted the guys to defeat rainbow caterpillars and magic butterflies here. When our hero and his sister heard about rainbow caterpillars and magical butterflies, they were very surprised. Then butterflies began to fly in front of them. The young men did not understand where the monsters were here, to which the old man explained that this place was simply teeming with them. Our hero, watching the grass in front of him, assumed that there were several bees hovering around, but he did not see where the monsters were here. And then, when he wanted to look again and looked closer, he realized that they were just huge. Then he realized that these bugs must be monsters. The old man, realizing that our hero had guessed, explained that this was so. Just one thing: honeybees should not be attacked. Attacking at least one of them, the whole swarm will attack the guys. Then Shu decided to focus on the caterpillars first. Grandfather noticed that this was true, but he wanted to say it again, to be sure not to attack the honeybees, and hoped they understood that. Wishing the guys good luck, the old man began to watch them. Our hero realized with the help of an evaluation skill that the rainbow caterpillar attacks with threads of flowers and the butterfly sprays poison, from which it was possible to fall asleep forever. He told the guys about it, and then Cruz decided that he and Shu would go to the caterpillars, and the girls should go to the butterflies. The caterpillars were easy to defeat because of their slowness, so our heroes coped very quickly. Iria and her sister shot arrows and stones from the sky and magical butterflies. They finished with them, after which Grandpa announced that he had found their next target. Upon hearing about his goal, our hero became interested. Grandpa noticed that this would be his new familiar. Of course, when our hero heard about the new familiar, he was surprised, because there are good monsters around. Then Grandpa asked me to just follow him for now, and the guys did so. When he saw off their colors, our hero realized that Grandpa wanted him to tame honeybees. It was almost like that. Our hero had to train the queen of honeybees. That's exactly what Grandpa wanted. When he heard about the queen, the young man was surprised. As it turned out, there was a nest nearby where Grandpa locked the bees in a barrier, and there's a queen bee among them. Grandpa remembered that then, our hero made only Mother Wolf his familiar, but over time, her puppies also became his familiars. Our hero believed that this was how it worked. Then Grandpa explained that if he made the queen his familiar, then the other bees had to obey him too. Grandfather exhaled proudly and noticed that the young man guessed correctly. He also added that honeybees have the ability to produce honey. This means, as Cruz has already added, that they will be able to get as much honey as they want, if they are their familiars. The girls began to dream that honey would be nice, as Iria thought, and the sister also wanted to eat a medic. Our hero, looking at how happy they were, thought only that he did not want even more familiars. Grandpa was happy and understood that they were all very excited, and he was sure that Sakura would also be happy to see him talking about his granddaughter again. Now our hero understood what was the matter. When he looked ahead, he showed that it would be enough for everyone from the shelter. The young man had to try, looking at the honeycomb that was in front of him, but he did not know what to do. Then the grandfather decided to explain to the young man. Grandpa decided that he would put the queen bee to sleep and bring her here while the guys waited. After a while, he appeared with a huge queen bee in front of them. With the help of magic, our hero weakened her to avoid the attack. Standing in front of the queen bee, he did not understand whether he would be able to do everything. At that moment, A sign appeared in front of him. And once the table appeared, our hero understood that he had succeeded. Grandfather praised our hero for his good work and suggested that the queen get up now, having stopped using her magic on her. The queen flew to our hero, and he needed to understand if she understood what he was saying. At the same moment, the queen began to nod, and the young man explained that only he and his friends were here. So he asked her to tell the other bees not to attack them. Then Shu asked Grandpa to wake up the other bees. After all, the old man put them all to sleep too, and the queen mother went to them to convey the request of our hero. After that, everyone obediently obeyed the young man. As expected from the queen, our hero was delighted that he had succeeded, as was his sister, who watched it and thought about how incredible it was. Of course, our hero apologized for the sudden request, but hoped that the queen could share her honey with them. She immediately nodded and went to get the honeycomb. The next moment, our hero framed the jar and saw how honey was oozing into it, which of course made him very excited. After the queen gave our hero the honey, they all thanked her. And looking at the pot of honey, now our hero needed to understand what they were going to do with these bees in general. And the old man added that he was going to leave these bees to live inside the barrier, just like now. He also thought he could move them to the house, but if he did, they would be too far from their flower garden. Our hero explained that he could get honey every day if he moved them. Grandpa was thinking that the young man was right about this. After that, they returned back. Grandpa shouted to Sakwa that now she had his souvenir for her. Upon hearing about the souvenir, the girl reading the book next to the wolf looked forward with interest. And then Grandpa showed her honey, which made Sakyo glow when she saw it. Grandma also couldn't believe that Grandpa went to collect honey today. The same one proudly explained that they got it after they made the honeybee queen, the boys familiar. Now they can collect it and eat it at any time. After hearing this, Sakuya couldn't believe that Grandpa was serious. She ran to our hero and told him how glad she was. Seeing Sakua thanking the young man so much, the grandfather clutched at his heart. It was a blow to him. He was very unhappy about it, but he had to eat with everyone else at the table to take a break. So everyone enjoyed bread along with fruits. And our hero thought that if they had milk and eggs, they would be able to make pancakes even now. Fruit and honey were served at the shelter for dinner, and when the children saw it, they couldn't believe their eyes. Then the director added that if the guys behaved well, Shu and the others would bring them more honey, so she asked them to behave well. Everyone, of course, immediately agreed with this. The next day, the old man offered to collect some more honey, but our hero, hearing this, explained that they had done it 2 days ago, and his sister also noticed that the bees were very poor. Therefore, Iria added that the grandfather should have shown a little sympathy. Of course, he believed that the guys were right and, upset, decided that he would leave them alone. Then he suggested that they challenge the other new monsters today. When Cruz heard about the new monsters, he immediately lit up and everyone else was just surprised. As they walked forward, the old man remembered that our hero had to know the materials that they could sell to the guild. It was possible to look, because he thought it was the materials of birds, snakes, and orcs. That was true. Our hero has already fought monsters, but he needed to figure out who was next. The young man wondered if it could be a snake. The old man explained that this was the case, and they had already arrived at the place where they permanently reside. Hearing this, the young man was surprised, and everyone had to prepare for battle. Then, standing next to each other, the guys watched carefully, looking for monsters. Then I felt something that jumped away from them into the grass. When the guys went to get her, they saw a large lizard and a curled snake in front of them. They weren't that strong in their level, so the heroes would be able to defeat them without much trouble. But the way they move, they make it surprisingly difficult. When our heroes dealt with a small prey, the grandfather called the young man, explained that the monster that was next to him was the next one. He had a large snake in his hands. Looking at her, Shu and Cruz were scared. Our hero did not believe that they would fight with her because she was so healthy. The girls looked at the boys carefully, and so they decided to start first. They went and had to start with arrows and stones. And then our hero wondered if this snake was against the cold, because he decided to try to use ice magic on it while the others attacked him. He was beaten by rocks made of ice. Looking at how it seemed to our hero that she had become a little slower than this snake. But at that moment, she glared maliciously ahead, and there in front of her was Cruz. Cruz started to shield himself from her, but the snake didn't care, and she went ahead. Since the battle with the orcs, Cruz has started to focus on defense. There's another thing he practiced. It was striking with a sword while dodging an attack. Of course, this snake didn't even flinch, Cruz realized, looking at him, realizing that after all his attempts, he couldn't do anything. At that moment, Iria asked Cruz to be careful, because she was already aiming her tail at him. Cruz did not have time to react, and the snake knocked him aside. Our hero decided that it was necessary to stop it with a trap, but nothing worked, because the snake was crawling right at our hero. This time, he decided to use water and froze the snake with ice cubes, and it seemed to the young man that it worked. At that moment, Cruz, who stood up, noticed that he was to blame. Oh, our hero, not paying attention to this, continued to Cruz to use this broken sword and let him freeze it a little more, and then hit. Cruz said to rely on him, and our hero decided to use water shells first, and then ice cubes. The young man saw what he was doing. The snake stopped moving. Then he asked Cruz to try to attack now, and Cruz attacked him. But the next moment, the snake began to fall directly on Cruz. He managed to dodge, and as it seemed to him, they did it. The girls saw that Cruz had fallen again, as Iria noticed and hoped that he was okay. Having also arrived at the young man, I hoped that he was not injured. Cruz explained that he was fine. He had to admit, even though this sword he fought with was broken, it was amazing. The young man explained that the whole point was that it has an effect of increased sharpness. Cruz thought about the fact that ordinary swords don't do much against strong monsters. He didn't know how he was going to win. At that moment, the old man arrived, explaining that the time was not to rest, but to act. There was a huge snake next to him again. When he saw that he had brought another one back, our hero couldn't believe it. He explained that it was a training session after all, and they all had to fight again. In the end, they defeated about 10 of these 10-meter snakes. Shu decided that he would even dream about them for a long time. After the battle, Cruz thought about using a long or wooden sword for him. He would like to fight with a long one, but worry that it will wear out quickly. Arya continued to practice aiming at the eyes, and his younger sister tied a stone to a rope and threw it like a ball. But she wasn't doing very well. Too many spins made her dizzy. Our hero offered to leave all this for a while. At this moment, the Snake King that grandfather had dragged in was the last one for today. The guys, looking at his completely exhausted, could not believe that grandfather was serious. Shu understood that they seriously had to fight something so crazy every day, and it seemed to our hero that maybe it was something like the cherry on the cake. But it seems they had no choice. It was necessary to go ahead. Gathering together, they began to attack this snake. Everything they've done against her doesn't work, and then Cruz hoped that our hero had ideas. The same one decided at first that he would create a shallow but wide pit. Then it will fill with water directly to the freezing point. The trap was prepared, and the guys had to drive the snake into it. When Cruz was able to drag her there, the snake rushed into the water, and now they had to catch him. Everyone started attacking him, and the snake swam forward. It seemed to our hero that he was caught, and he decided to freeze the water. Cruz, looking at this, decided that it worked. Our hero thought so too, so he asked the guys to attack now. Realizing that our hero is holding a snake in an icy lake, and it cannot move, Cruz asked to provide it to him. Pulling out his broken sword, he went forward to attack while the snake peacefully awaited his attack. A second later, he attacked him, and he managed to defeat the snake. Cruz was very glad that they were able to do it. Grandpa, watching this battle, noticed that it was well done, and their teamwork was excellent, as always. After hearing the praise from the master, of course, Cruz was very happy. After that, they drained the blood from this huge snake, and Grandpa also taught them how to gut these snakes. The big snake and the king snake were edible. These snakes tasted like chicken, and depending on the snake, they could sell their skin and fangs, venom, as materials. When our heroes lay down to rest by a tree after the battle, Cruz noticed that he was somehow getting used to the skill of the Spartans, although Shu noted that after all, he was especially tired today, and the sister sitting next to him was already talking about how hungry she was. Iria, just watching her friends, laughed. After all, they were all glad that they worked together and could spend their time like this. When they finished resting, Grandpa thanked the guys and praised them for how well they had tried today. He asked them to be careful on their way home as they walked through the woods to the shelter, and wished them a good day. The children also thanked their grandfather and went back to the shelter.